is live.
That looks like me.
Think so on the screen.
Is it on the screen?
You can see my Christmas tree. And I won't put down.
And I'm just gonna pause this so it doesn't go live. Is it rolling?
I think we'll roll in.
Why is it still initializing then?
I don't know what's happening.
Why are we talking through this whole opening?
I don't know what's
Sorry guys, this episode should be starting, but we're like watching the screen just to make sure it has. Actually, but that says live. Alright, what's up?
It's live.
It's Thursday. It's in a month. It's February, right?
Welcome.
Matt Stelton's here. Well, updates. This episode of Shanahanigans Live, I revisited the 90s comic book scene, starting with Gen 13. Does it hold up? I don't know. I never read it back then. Also, seems I'm not allowed to stop talking about Star Wars with word of a new Han Solo and Boba Fett prequel film, and even a Yoda film. It may not be easy being green, but that sounds really dumb. Also, though I may never be a beautiful bride, I can sure get behind Carol Morey's bride story. Holy balls, it's good. All that and more on Shanahanigans Live tonight. But first, Katie, what's up?
Hi, I'm good. I am excellent. A little worn out. Was on a plane.
You just came flying in through the biggest storm we've ever had. Okay, it's a lie.
Yeah, that was random though. But everybody's like, crazy snowstorm. Oh my gosh, is it coming? Well, I mean, to preface, I'm a storyboard artist, so
this is a learning show.
Welcome to Shanahanigans Live. I'm Katie. This is my brother Shaggy.
Yo.
So I had a meeting today in Ottawa for the show I'm working on. So
the capital of our nation.
Ottawa.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I'm working on Wild Kratts, and they fly me out for show launches every couple months. So I went out today, spent a day in the studio, had some good times, and then had to fly back. And apparently, it was a giant snowstorm.
Yes.
And everybody's like, "Did you touch down already? Are you okay?" And strangely enough, there was more turbulence when we went to Comic-Con than there was, and that was in July. This was just like good. And then I landed.
I have to say the worst landing I've ever had was in England the first time I went, because they circled like a cricket field 3 times before landing, and it did this the whole way.
Oh, I hate that. Surging?
Oh. Like basically, yeah. It was gross.
That's awful.
And I hated every minute of it. But beyond that, every landing's been nice.
Yeah. You're pretty good. I'm going to change this part because I don't like where that is on the screen.
Alright.
I have pink hair now.
Who we got? How was Mr.
That?
Smelly Businessman, Katie?
Yeah.
What?
I got pink hair.
Oh, yeah, Katie dyed her hair too.
A little bit. It was kind of gross, but it wasn't too bad. I got used to it.
What's Mr. Smelly?
I don't know. I just tweeted this morning, and it was kind of like I'm not the most social person, so sometimes I like to sit alone on a plane.
Yeah, no, I'm all about that.
But there were a lot of empty seats because it wasn't totally packed, and there was like another conjoining thing. And this guy sat beside me, and he was like this business dude who was just like doused in cologne, but also like smelled like he didn't brush his teeth and drank a lot of coffee. So I get these wafts of like gross mouth, then cologne. And also he took up all the seat.
The armrests? Was this like rows of 2 or what was this?
Yeah, it's rows of 2.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like, just tweeting about it. And then I got this kind of weird thing where, like, what if there was some weird, like, Twitter thing where it's like, if someone's talking about you, or it's like, someone's like, oh, hey, you're Katie Shan, like, I love your comics, then reads my tweet, and it's like, sitting beside this gross dude, and I'm like, I am a piece of crap.
Oh, yeah, I wonder if you gotta be conscious of that nowadays, if anyone does. It's not like, like, if you're, like, a well-known Twitterer, and you're like, oh, this ass, and then it's like, you go, what?
Yeah,
like that could happen.
It was a little gross. Andrew, because I tweeted about it, and social media is great. We're all able to commiserate.
Yeah,
He was talking about a guy who opened up like a big gross sandwich on his plane, and it was just like vinegar. And
the vinegar sandwich.
And, like some big meaty sandwich, and it's just like, no. You should have had that confiscated.
I see. Oh, but you fly where you get free cookies.
Oh, I love it. Porter's great because you get a snack in the morning, like anytime. I've been on 6-8 hour flights and they don't feed me anything. You can buy like a $3 cookie. Yeah. But here it's like you get cookies and coffees, and on the way back you get, and it's so cute. I didn't bring it, but you get these little lunch boxes. They're like little boxes. It's got a little raccoon design on it. It's cute, and I know it doesn't look like it, but it always reminds me of like Return to Oz, where they have the lunchbox treat. Because it's like, here you go.
Yeah, it's like a little package treat.
It's got a chocolate and a sandwich and a little salad in it.
Okay.
But you also get like a booze on the way back, so it's like flying back and you have a red wine, and you're having a chocolate, and you're bumping around on the plane. You're like, that's great.
Yeah, that's a good time. I wouldn't mind being flown out once in a while.
No, I really enjoy it. And it's a good show, and the Krat Bros, like, I've really enjoyed their work since I was a kid, so it's cool just to work with them now, where I'm like, I used to watch you on TV.
Zaboomafoo! Is he here?
Well, even younger, too. Where's Zaboomafoo? There's a little claymation of Zaboomafoo. The little claymation things are at the front.
Oh, they have those? Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are weird. It was like, hey, Zaboomafoo!
Hey, guys!
was a good show.
My producer actually had her puppy in for the day, and it's this little French bulldog, and it's, I don't know, I mean, our family's new puppy, Heather's puppy, is a little Cocker Spaniel, and you can just kind of pick her up. She's tiny. This thing's like solid muscle, just like glutes and like abs and like shoulder muscles, and I'm trying to pick him up because he's running around the studios, and it's just, he's so strong, and then he's also just in your face too, and he's got those big rabbity dog ears, and oh god, it was cute.
It was like that Twitter pic I saw, that like bulldog sitting down with his feet out, like this little puppy, but it looks like he's like this ripped mammoth beast. So someone redrew it with him standing on his feet instead with his like huge upper body.
They're so just all muscle. It's so weird. They're strong. They're cute though. Yeah, so it was a good day. How about you? How was your day?
Oh, yeah, just work.
Okay.
Videos.
That's usually my answer. How's it going? Hey, work.
Because I don't get flown out to nice fancy places, and like I'm getting like these emails being like, oh my gosh, storm warning tomorrow. There's snow in Toronto. Good heavens.
Oh my gosh.
And that's just like the opener, because it wasn't like saying don't come in just yet, but like they're like, oh, you know, take your computer home, maybe, which I can't because it's a giant freaking Mac.
Yeah, it's bigger than
and somehow. And then another email came out now being like, well, it's up to your discretion whether you want to come in. And I'm like,
deadline's done.
Well, the problem is I have to be in because I got to do a shoot, so it's like going to be me and like no one else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the school days where you're the only one there.
Well, those are fun.
We lived so close to school we could walk.
Those are fun though, because you just got to play and
I know.
stuff.
Well,
it's
the thing too is it's you know, it's a moot point now that I'm freelancing from home. I don't get snow
Every
days.
day's a snow day.
Yeah, because I work from home. Anyway. But when I was working in the studio, even if the weather sucked and I had a deadline, it's like, I still have to trudge
Yeah,
through
basically, I gotta get there somehow.
My deadline done.
As long as the streetcars and the buses are rolling, I'm fine.
Because it's sunny in whatever place this has to go to, so their deadlines haven't changed. So
my problem is
poor old Canadian has to push myself down King Street.
I had to be there early to begin with, but now if there's snow on top of it, I'm gonna have to leave even earlier. So I'm gonna go to bed early tonight.
I like running around the city in a snowstorm though. It's kind of fun.
Exciting.
I mean, as long as you don't have to go far.
Maybe. Judy says, I wouldn't be surprised if the Kratt brothers didn't allow animals in the office. They start explaining how the bulldog works and stuff. He's like, he's from the Caninus family. Look at that snout. That was evolved from years of being a bulldog and stuff. And I'm like, that's great. It's like, you got a lesson.
It's like, you can't just enjoy the dog.
Yeah, no. The Kratts cannot just enjoy it.
It has to be science.
No, it's face value. They gotta break it down, how it works. We're gonna snow day tomorrow at work, says Andrew.
Nice.
Lucky you. I think I do too.
Say,
but
you're not
I don't.
Freelance, are you? That's a lie.
I think I do get a snow day, but I don't get to take it. So that's fun. I'll be in office. Beyond that, I was just, I don't know, just kind of making videos at work. You know how it is. Just kind of, I start actually watching since I usually stick around later on Thursdays just because this show's on Thursdays, so I don't want to go home. There's no point.
Yeah.
And I started watching some Community because the new season I think starts tonight. I believe Community season 4, right? Maybe.
I am so.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm surprised you guys are here if it is happening because you should be watching Community.
You should be watching
if it's happening right now, but I'll check out the episode tomorrow.
Online.
Yeah, no, I rewatched the KFC space episode because I thought it was hilarious. And then what?
Is it a KFC?
You haven't seen that one?
No.
Oh my god, it's in season 3.
Nice.
It's really good. You should watch season 3. It's really good.
When I finish my deadline.
And then I watched a bit of the Conspiracy Theory episode, which is really good too. Every episode's really good. Oh my gosh.
The teacher's cell phone is.
It's Professorson with bum bum bum.
That was it.
Yeah. If you have cable on, something about cable. I need to do something tomorrow. Says Fox. Need to get out of this apartment. Yes. And you're going to pick the best day to do it.
Day to get out, Flux Fox.
Very good day.
Toronto's
going to be. Speaking of snowed in, I was not snowed in on this adventure.
I like these segments.
So I went to Kensington Market. I went to Kensington Market because recently, or a couple months ago, or I don't know when it just happened, they opened up, not the market itself, but someone opened up a place called Kensington Comics in Kensington Market. And what it is actually quite interesting. If you enjoy, long box diving in the comic shops, like if that's your thing, or at conventions. I don't either. However, Graham was with me, so I put on a pretty face. And so we both went. And now, this place doesn't actually have boxes, though. It's a little store up the stairs in Kensington, just, beside Chinatown. And the walls are covered with little 10, 12 book deep comic just things.
Oh my gosh.
So basically the walls are just covered with comics. It's not even shelves. They're just there. They're just like in little cage things and hanging there. And you get to basically, search through the whole store because there's no rhyme or reason to any of the locations. There's no numerical order. and every comic was 50 cents.
No.
So
You can't argue with that.
So it was actually kind of fun after a while because like once again I'm not really big on buying single issue comics because I tend to get them torn up. Like when Adventure Time came out, I bought the first one just because I'm like, all right, local talent,
I wanted to go and support it, but I was like, I just don't buy comics anymore
because I have nowhere to put them.
Because
they get torn up.
I used to buy what was it, Action Girl comics?
Yeah.
Or it was like kind of comic anthologies with a lot of girl-friendly stories, but it was like they're floppy, so I'd have them in those little folder things you shove magazines in.
Yeah, you get the magazine things you buy at IKEA.
Like tucked away somewhere. I need a book, a nice book. I could just.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I like to wait for the trade, but I was like, all right, I'm here anyway. And I was just basically, I didn't actually bring any of them tonight, but I found some gems. Just like the covers alone are a treat. I'm gonna show you guys next time. And I didn't need anything. I don't follow any long box single issue series, so I wasn't really looking for anything. But then all these Gen 13 books start popping up. Like the first run, this is like issue 2, issue 5, issue 7, stuff like that. And I was just kind of sitting there being like, I've never actually read, if you followed my Twitter today, you know where I'm going with this, but I'm like, I never actually read Gen 13. And I started thinking there, being like, all those comics we used to see in Previews magazine.
You can buy those.
Yes, you can. Funny that. But I'm just saying, back in the day in the 90s, we used to just read Previews magazine just to see what was out and read the summaries. And you'd find out about stuff and be like, oh, this is so cool. And every issue, there's always stuff on Gen 13, Savage Dragon, Milk and Cheese, Witchblade, Vampira, Scott the Disposable Assassin, The Max.
Poison Elves.
You know, and it's just all these comics that we never actually read.
Yeah, because there was like the superhero section, then you'd be like the independent section.
I guess alternative, like, because...
Then there'd be the anime section. We'd be like,
oh, yeah, we go straight there.
I know what that is.
But the interesting thing with these comics is they were like all independently owned, so like they could do crossovers whenever the hell they wanted.
That's
because
right.
they're like creator ran. I actually wrote the list out of all of them just so I could talk about them. Wildcats, Witchblade, or Shy, I'm not sure what it was. Cerebus, that guy who's like an aardvark, Cerebus, whatever. Yeah. Those comics just were always in the magazine. I'm like, you know what? I've never read one of them. Yeah. Now, all right, let's go back quickly. Gen 13, we did read the Adam Warren ones. So the Gen 13 bootleg, which was the grunge movie, and then the Magical Drama Queen Roxy.
Oh god, that was adorable.
Both phenomenal. Like, we didn't even know who these characters were.
Adam Warren's going to be at TCAP this year, so we should get him to sign those.
There you go. We got to just bring everything we have.
And I'm actually going to say
Did we bring him?
Just, hey, how's it going? Can we sign the
Okay, go on, buddy.
Okay. We know mutual friends.
Yeah, because I could just go over to him and be like, hey, Adam Warren, can you sign all these?
I want to be that guy.
Can you sign all these for me? You're in Paris.
I want to go to someone with a wheelbarrow and not even smile and not even make eye contact and just you sign these.
Sorry, I just brought these back to give to you anyway. What a coincidence. We're talking about Empowered.
This is heavy. This weighs as much as that pit bulldog.
Weighs as much as my laptop.
Actually, this weighs as much as one of his arms.
But the point is, the only Gen 13 I ever read was the Adam Warren stories, which were phenomenal. Like, he's a funny friggin' guy. He's everything he does is amazing.
Whether you're a fan or not of the Empowered, because I know some people might be a little bit like, yay, it's too.
There's a new one out. We're missing one.
There's this character in it, Maid Man, and he's kind of like the Batman character. And he's like
but he's a maid.
He's this dude in like a French maid costume. But he talks with this like the gritty Batman
he has
voice,
the dark voice.
So cool.
But he's a perfect gentleman too.
Like he'll be wearing like ladies' panties and stuff too. He's jumping into frame, and he's got.
He's amazing. He's also
awesome.
very like one of the nicer characters.
He's like one of my favorite of the superheroes. He's like so cool, but in a French maid costume.
So just to preface anything I'm going to say next about Gen 13, the Adam Warren ones were phenomenal because we're like, oh, it's Adam Warren, and we never read Gen 13 before. Maybe a lot of the in jokes were lost on us because he'd take characters from the series and place them in positions which they may not normally be, but we wouldn't know. Like it's just this is how they were. So I got a bunch of Gen 13, and then eventually was missing enough that I said screw it. So I went to Big Island and I picked up one of the original trades, Gen 13. You can probably read it because I already did.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a time.
Yeah,
so, this is my Gen 13 review. Maybe. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
No, not really.
Is Judge Dredd in this?
No, I don't think so. You're just reading Gen 13 now. So Gen 13's interesting.
I don't know nothing about it.
Yeah, well, I'll try to explain. Alright, so the premise of Gen 13, which they re-explain at the beginning of every chapter because presumably you're picking these up individually, and so they're just like, today was a crappy day. I'll do it in the manner that they would. So pretend you're shooting bullets at me. This is like issue 7 or something. I'm like, this is a crappy day. I just went to, I was at school, and then some creepy guys came to the door, and they're smiling, and they're like, you've been accepted to the secret thing. And now I'm in the secret thing, but it's actually a military thing. And now I got keep shooting. Now I got superpowers, and now they're chasing me because I broke the wall. And now my friends have the powers, and with the Gen 13 people, I gotta run. Continue the action. Okay, so I addressed a few things there. The story, and one of the problems I have with the story is there is so much exposition. And now once again, this was like the original. You know, all the writers and artists went on and done like what they did and learned and do better things and stuff like that. But let's just take it as face value, because you're all like, oh, you can't judge all Star Trek Next Gen on the first episode. You know, it was actually pretty amazing. First few episodes were pretty fun.
For how ridiculous.
But people were like, oh man, that show, like those first few episodes, but it gets better. And I'll give the benefit of the doubt that Gen 13 does get better. But man, there's so much in the moment exposition that happens. This is something that Scott McCloud, the great Scott McCloud, and understanding and making comics and reinventing comics, what he said, like in comics, you know, you don't have to have a guy going, I'm punching at you. He's like, he's punching at me. You know, Gen 13 does that quite a bit, quite a lot, in fact.
Yeah, I guess that's how you start out though, and then you learn from it.
I guess I'm just saying, like, as far as me reading it now, like I've never actually had too much trouble reading most comics, like being like, oh my god, the writing. Like I think I've gotten away with like. You know, maybe like the story overall I didn't enjoy, but at least I kind of read it. But just a lot of Gen 13, it's like, fortunately that bullet you just shot hit my metal eye and I'm alive. Yeah. But how do you do? And it's just like I saw that's what happened. Comics are a very visual medium, and I feel like Gen 13 was written as an old-timey radio play, where they just like, I'm gonna punch you now. Not with your right arm. Whoa.
It was very much superhero classics.
Was it?
For the time, I think. From what I know of people kind of describing it. It's cool though, just seeing like J. Scott Campbell like has come really far, like long way, because I guess this is one of his first. Oh
yeah, like I know. I hope none of you guys who made this are watching. I don't want to be mean or nothing, but I'm just saying my experience reading it was.
It's tricky though when you review someone's first thing.
Yeah.
I of course will always argue like, don't wait, you should just make it now and you'll get better as you go.
Yeah. No, of course I'm not dissuading anyone from doing it, but this was my major problem reading it. Was just there was so much explaining what is visually happening.
Well, now that you critique it, you have to say one good thing.
Okay. I like her boobs.
Oh, come on.
I'm gonna
read this.
Okay. No. It's got some neat stuff. Okay. She grows, okay? That was her power. Briefly. Stuff happens. The other thing is the bad guys all do the same thing. See this little evil smile here? She got right there? Get used to that. Because every villain has this Joker grin whenever they're about to... These are the guys who trick her into saying, oh, you've got accepted to the school. Do you trust these men?
Of course, they have...
Would you trust these smiling men who are like, you've made it into the academy?
Of course.
And she's like, oh, I guess I better take my dressing clothes for dressing at the academy. I'm just like, dude. And this is Casual Fridays here in the bad guy office. What is she not wearing is the question. This is Casual Fridays.
For me, it's like you enjoyed the comic though, right? Did you enjoy reading it?
I think I'm enjoying connecting the dots to the Adam Warren stuff as well. Like, because I'm piecing together who's who and why stuff makes sense.
I picture you giving someone a critique on something. You're like, hey, Shaggy, can you read my thing and tell me about it? And you're just like, what's this? What's happening? Oh my god! It's like, whoa!
Well, no, I wouldn't be. This is why I don't review people's work.
It's just like, I haven't read it myself. I think from what I know, I've heard good things. So I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I'll definitely give it a read.
I think the thing I'm more interested in though is from what Adam Warren did in his like bootlegs and spin-offs, everything was kind of like regular everyday stuff with people with cool powers. And this goes even beyond X-Men, because X-Men and the Sentinel shows up. This is kind of like it's just a Thursday and they're walking around and one of them happens to be floating around and no one says nothing about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the stuff I like. So I'm looking forward to this being less about, you know, the Gen 12 initiative and the Gen 13 bibbidi blue. And I am also a smiling bad guy kind of thing. I want to get to...
How do you know they're evil?
Let's get movie tickets tonight, you know, kind of thing. And they're like, we won't get there on time. Yeah. Like, that's what I want. Now, maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy, but it's just like, I like the fantastical inside the complete mundane. You know, this actually segues kind of nicely into I was listening to your suggested Geek and Sandry storyboard
storyboards with Patrick Rothfuss and friends.
Yes, and friends.
Yes,
And they address they're talking about how what's it called? Mad Hatter voice. Did I pull that out by mistake? I subconsciously
King Candy in there.
King Candy, have some candy. All right, let's just quickly wrap on Jen, and then we'll talk about that in a sec. But okay, I think I'll continue. Like, it didn't, like, I like being angry, of course, it's fun. But I didn't hate it. It was just like, I want to see where it's going. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, this was a very, like, a comic of its time. This is a part of, like, trying to take superheroes a different direction. Wildstorm with Wildcats were doing that, too. This is, I don't know, I just don't like evil that guys are just so evil and smiling because they love being evil. I guess that's like making sure you give it a chance, because I remember people talking about, when I was in college, everybody was talking about the Neil Gaiman Sandman comics, and I picked it up and I didn't really like the art of the first one, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. Yeah, Gaiman can't draw.
No, but it was like, it was a style I didn't really like, but it was kind of like, just hold on to it and like it'll get better. Yeah. It was like, I was able to push through, so it's like I want to always kind of give a chance. Yeah, no, I'll give it a, chance. It's Gen 13, It's like, I guess I just need more. I remember so much from those preview things, it was like the coolest thing in there, so it's like I'm curious to just... It's like, oh my god. Read it, Maybe. So, I do wish to continue. I'm not like, whoa, but it's like, alright, I'm just, just stating. Okay. So, if you haven't yet, check it out. Gen 13. Whoop. It's really kind of convoluted how to check it out, because there's Gen 13, like issues 1 to 5, and then there was Gen 13, issues 1 to 5. Like, it's like each book doesn't have numbers on it. You just have to assume you got the right one, but you base it on this. I call this the squiggly arc, because inside the 13 here, it's squiggly DNA there. And when we were at Kensington Comics, like me and Graham and I were like looking at issues, because originally I was picking up the single issues of these, and we're like, wait, I got 2 issue 2s, what's going on? And there's no indication, but it was like, there's a squiggly edition, which is the original, and then the less squiggly editions, which are after. But, there's quite a few names went through this, I don't have them on me. Go to Wikipedia. It says, I handed a copy of the first bit of my graphic novel to critique at Bandcamp. Intriguing was his only response. Who was that, or was it just... It wasn't me, was it? Oh, did you give it to Steve? Was it to me? Brother? Did he say intriguing? Or was it to Adam Warren? Did I say intriguing? I don't think Adam Warren... I'm not good... Alright, I'm going to preface anything with... We said preface 3 times in this show. Okay, wait, there's another word I want to use on you. We should have a preface jar. No. Preface jar? Okay, this is the one. I got this from Geek and Sandry. I submit to you that I am... Fancy writers. I am evolving and work... Oh, God, it says it was Shaggy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that wasn't enough. I hope that was a good intriguing I said. And I hope I was also really tired if it wasn't a good intriguing if I said that way. Like, I swear... Alright, here, let me put... Alright. I submit to all of you, submitted for the approval of the Shanahanigans Society. I've been very timid about reviewing other people's work, because I've always I do get nervous when people ask me to read stuff. I'm like, I always feel like I'm not the right person to like do it, because I'm like, who am I to judge? I can have an opinion where it's like, I feel like I wanted it to go here and it would have worked. The thing is, I'm starting to work on it. I'm starting to branch out and like actually give people a go. Yeah, because before when people would show me stuff and they'd be like, here's my crappy sketchbook, I'd be like, oh, actually, you're really selling it well, kind of thing. Some people do that, and it's like, you first of all don't approach an artist and be like, here's my crappy sketchbook, because why do I want to look at it? I get that some people are kind of nervous, and you go... Steven says it was a good intrigue. Okay, good. You get off... You start off a little bit defensive, because it's like you don't want anyone to say anything bad about your art, so you start by saying something bad about it, so if they say something bad, like you beat them to it. But it's like, if you don't stand behind your art, who's going to stand behind it? You gotta kind of be your own biggest fan when you're representing yourself. So stuff like that, I'm like, but if someone wants an honest critique, it's like, I will look specifically for stuff based on your skill level, where it's like, I see where you're at, and I see where you can go, and these are the things you can work on to improve. So it's like, if someone shows me a story that is getting started, it's like, I can only offer the advice I can give. Like, I'm not an expert writer, but I know what I like. Yeah. So this is where I'd like it to go. And I like this. I'm not going to be like, this is working. I feel the ending's a little weak or something like that. So I think I'm still at the phase where I'm able to do that, but not while they're in the room. Yeah. So I got to take your stuff and go elsewhere, because sometimes like someone gives me a thing
right in front of them, and it's like now I have to read it in front of you. I'm like rushing through it to be like, it's great.
Something you gotta do, and this is something I had to learn too. Is it's like you have to start with the positive. You can't just go into what's wrong with it, because I remember
what I normally do with these reviews.
When you and I would write stories, it's like, because I know you, and it's like, yeah, you write good stories. It's like I'd right away be like, oh, this isn't working, I don't get this, and I could see you'd be like, oh,
really?
No, you wouldn't be like that, but I'd feel like, oh, like I probably just totally like bash that down. Where I'm not trying to be like, this sucks, but it's like, I like this. These aren't working. Yeah. So it's like, having to kind of contend with feelings sometimes, where it's like you are dealing with someone's precious story, so. If you want to help them, just ripping them.
Jim says, I always feel like, oh, screensaver.
Oh, that's a good feeling.
I always feel like I need to visibly react when I have to read other people's things in front of them. Oh, because you gotta be like, ooh.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like when someone gives you something, you have to be like, oh. And it's like, do you want my honest opinion, or like, yeah. Because I don't like faking it, but sometimes you're just, okay. Get me out of here.
Oh,
but like, if you want
jolly
critique,
good.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm working on it, but don't ask me to read something in front of you while you're there. You can pitch me a concept, but like, don't be like, here's your thing, and then sit there and wait, because I will be like looking at you more than the thing. I'm like,
and I really appreciate it. Is going to conventions, like a lot of people will hand me their comics, like to read, and I love it. It's so sweet. It's really awesome. It's like, thank you. Like, I am really excited to read this, and it's like. Unfortunately, I do have a little pile. It takes me a while to get to because I get busy, and it's sometimes you get the email like, have you read it yet? And you're like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to be a jerk, but like,
Hannah says, I'm finally awake late enough to join this.
There
you go. Yeah. So that's us reviewing things.
Who did TV dinner make freak out?
Me. Because you kept saying, I said intriguing.
TV dinner's like, I've been waiting for this moment to finally call you out.
I'm sorry, I'm working on it. Because we all have things to work on, and I have to work on being comfortable with reviewing and being honest with other people and stuff too. It's just like
being comfortable with giving advice, because there was something I figured out where it's like sometimes I'll get emails with just, oh, like, how do you do this, or like, how would
you're like, I don't know.
And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know. I am like the worst person to ask, but I feel like
so you start checking Wiki and Google for them.
Yeah, but I feel like the more people I talk to, the more they're like that. Where someone's like a pro and they've been doing it for like 10 years, and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it's like, oh, I guess nobody really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, no one.
And all you can do is like, well, this works for me.
Yeah, that's all you can say in the end.
Work for you, and that's why I really like the storyboard. It's not storyboards, but it's called the storyboard, and it's the round table Google Hangout with Patrick Rothfuss and a bunch of fantasy authors, because they're all like, this is stuff that works for my books, and this stuff, it's this is what we find helps us, and this is stuff we find interesting.
Dude, there's a Shaggy, if it makes you feel any better, you calling my comic intriguing, put a smile on my face for a week. Okay, I feel so much better now, having that ability.
And it wasn't one of those Gen 13 smiles.
Yes. Don't worry, it won't take too many pages.
Was it this smile?
Was it? What are we looking at?
This here.
Oh, yeah. God.
Intriguing.
All of them are evil. They're not happy. Or they are very happy with what they do. But man.
They love being evil. They're like, yes.
Yeah. Oh god, look at that one. That's like the definition of a shit-eating grin, I'm afraid. There you go. There you go.
Got any more?
So the storyboard. Speaking of shit-eating grins, no. Beards.
And,
the storyboard.
I am so I don't like critiquing art ever. So, but I mean, I know he comes a long, amazing way, and I know I've drawn some weird stuff. So I mean, God, good on you. We're all
it's like you're getting there, buddy. I'm like, dude, this is from the '90s.
He's like,
you're going places with this Gen 13.
He's like humongous. I'm like, you're gonna do good things.
Like, they're gonna make a movie. Kitty emails him. He's like, yeah, you're doing good there, buddy. Keep it up, Wildstorm. It's like, all right. Yeah, Gen 13 though was interesting. Like, they blew up pretty big in the 90s, and there was going to be a movie that Disney and Buena Vista was making, but then something happened and it got shelved. I forget. Anyway, go to Wikipedia. That's what you got to do. Check that out. So going back to the storyboard, which we're trying to talk about. So there's this. If you're, a writer, and you write things, you're gonna want to listen to the storyboard. Geek and Sandry. Though, all right, here's my experience with it, because I'm trying to play it at work, and it's like, I feel like these guys are on a whole different kind of zone of writing, because they're all novelettes.
They've made a couple books that are like this big. They've written some large books.
So like a lot of their I don't feel like I share much of their
Well, because you deal, I think, with short stories.
Yeah,
maybe, like,
short silliness.
Stuff, but they're kind of world builders, so they've built this whole history to their works.
They pay attention to what they write, for sure. Who was on the first episode? It was your favorite, the guy from the thing.
Yeah, it had, I think, Terry Brooks.
Nope.
No? Well, Patrick Rothfuss.
Maybe. What'd he do?
He wrote The Name of the Wind. It had...
What's the character's name in Name of the Wind? It's like Harry or...
Worth? Oh, you're talking about Dresden Files.
Dresden Files,
I haven't read them yet, but Kel
a lot of people like Dresden Files.
Yeah.
A lot of people like, that's the stuff. You know? Dresden Files.
Yeah.
Don't know much else about it. But he was in it. And he was like wearing a hat and stuff. And basically, they do a Google chat, which we're not doing right now, where they have like a bunch of people along the bottom, and the guy with the beard is like clicking on them, and their faces come up. I don't know why I'm explaining how the show works, but their faces come up, and then they talk about books and stuff. And then he'll pose a question to be like, oh, is urban fantasy, does it have to be based in a city, or can it just be based in the modern world? And some will say it has to be in the city, or the city has to play a part.
Well, I mean, it's city, but does it have to be, I mean,
metropolis of sorts.
But it doesn't have to be New York. It doesn't have to be, like, LA. It can be some, like, imaginary city that happens to be...
Does it? Can it?
So does it have to be based in the real world?
I don't know. Well, no one has the answer.
That's the argument.
Yeah, that's the point.
If you make it work. I mean, as soon as you put rules down, it's like, well...
It's kind of strange, though, because on the panel for this is, like, people who, quote-unquote, like, invented or started urban fantasy. And it's kind of weird having all the people who started it on your show and then talking about what the rules of it are. Because it's like, are they now going to be like, from now on, you know, since I made up putting ghosts in the city during the daytime, you got to make sure it's an urban city, you know, or I don't know why I pulled out that voice. But it's just like, it's just kind of weird because they weren't just like me talking about my opinions of urban fantasy. These are the guys who, like, started it. You know, so say, you know, I know, all right, Tolkien didn't invent elves and stuff like that, but it's kind of like, or, I don't know, it's kind of like if you had, like, a bunch of, I don't know what it is like, really. I'm trying to think of, like, because it's a genre. It's like, he's suggesting they invented the genre, but then he's trying to get their opinions on the genre. It's like...
Well, like, what would you, like, how do you, because I assume when you create a world, you generally have rules.
Yeah,
so that you
but that's for their own book, though. Is if you're saying the genre of urban fantasy now means this, is like...
I think it's book to book, because it's if you set up your world, you set up your rules, if you start breaking it, it's like, it's got to be for a good reason, or it feels like you're just sloppy. And it's like, will this change now all of a sudden?
Andrew's saying, have you ever had to tell your friends their work isn't up to snuff? I find it hard to tell my other animation friends they can do better.
You know, I wouldn't tell someone unless they wanted my opinion.
Maybe because...
I get that you're coming from a good place where you'd be like, dude, you could be a lot better if you did this. And I think some people know they could be better if they did stuff, but, like, if for whatever reason right now you just don't have the time to focus, like... I don't know, I'm always just kind of a little nervous of hurting someone's feelings a bit, because I feel like you know.
Yeah. Well, he's saying maybe because I feel that they should know that they can do better. For
sure. Like, if they show you stuff, like, for sure be like, oh, this was cool. I kind of like this a bit better, but, like, you know, but this is cool. Like, it gets tricky. I don't know.
Flux says, I've been there. It's really hard to find the right way of saying it without hurting them. But that's the thing. It's like, if you're putting your work out there, you have to be open to the feedback.
Sometimes when you're trying out a new style, like, it's not going to be successful right away. Like, but it's something that inspires you. Because it's like, you know, maybe my stuff was a little more spunko-y, and maybe now I'm really inspired by kabuki drawing, so all my stuff is more kabuki flavored. And you're like, oh, I kind of liked it better if you did this. I'm like, that's nice, but I really like drawing kabuki stuff, so I'm going to see where this goes. So it's like, I get that is coming from a good place.
I always remember...
It is tricky, because sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that's cool, but I really want to follow this and see where it goes, because maybe at this point you're a little stronger, and here you're not so strong, but you're going to build it up. I mean, if someone asked your honest opinion, for sure, but I wouldn't tell someone unsolicited, like, if you did this, you will be so much better than you are right now.
I always remember back when I followed Penny Arcade religiously, like, read it all the time, there was one, like, Gabe's art style always evolves and changes based on his influences, he said it, but, like, one time it was so drastic, like, the next issue was this, like, painted, like, watercolory kind of thing. It was the one about, like, the kitty on the keyboard, and he has the spray.
It was, like, pencil. And it wasn't inked. It was, like, pencil.
It was penciled and, like, wash kind of done in, and everyone just flipped. And he did, like, 2 or 3 more like that, but then he stopped. It was just, like... It's kind of like the thing, like, some people say, like, when TV was first going HD and widescreen, like, sketch comedy and sitcoms weren't as funny in widescreen for some reason. Like, there's the saying...
It's when you make it cinematic, suddenly it's not as funny.
Yeah, it's not. It's too serious. Because there's a saying, we have this local, well, national, I guess, show like that, the Air Farce. the Canadian comedy show on CBC. CBC,
Like,
right? I haven't said it in so long.
That's so bitchy.
But friends of mine were there, like working on the show, interning and stuff, and then they transferred over to widescreen, and like the ratings were saying it's like, oh, widescreen isn't as funny.
No.
Or something like that. And SNL went through the same thing, because now it's like, oh, now I see two people standing around awkwardly in a shot, or something.
When you're storyboarding for comedy, you tend to go a lot simpler, because comedy works more in a gag setup, whereas if it's a wide shot, you either got to zoom in closer or fill the scene. You could probably prove me wrong if you really wanted to, but generally you want to go simpler for comedy. And to go back, Andrew, like, I'm not saying, like, don't critique anyone ever, because obviously it's if you care about someone, you want them to get better, like, sometimes it's good to say like that.
Yeah.
For me, if I saw someone who wasn't as good as I thought they could be, like, unless they asked my opinion, I probably wouldn't go say it, because, I mean, I think everybody knows you could be a little bit better just by putting focus in there. There's something I wanted to mention, because you said Penny Arcade.
Sure.
I don't know if it's Penny Arcade itself or the site or the group of them. There's a reality show starring a bunch of cartoonists that's actually starting up. It's a bunch of cartoonists went and lived in a house, I think, and it's like a reality show, but it's called Strip Search, and it's about a bunch of webcomic artists.
Oh, wow.
And they filmed it all. I think
it's done. It's
done. It's going to start airing on their website.
You know the
in
cast?
February. I do know a couple people. I don't know everybody, but one of the cast members is Erica Moen of Dar Comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I really like her work, and she's really funny, so I'm looking forward to that. And another one is Katie Rice, who worked for Spunko and did the Skady comics, which is Skady the Barbarian Girl, where she's got the long blonde hair and she's got that little gross beast partner, and they're really cute. I think it's Dumb Comics you can find her stuff, but I don't know. I'm not telling you to Google Strip Search, because I don't know what'll show up. But if you go to the Penny Arcade site, you should be able to find it. And I'm actually really excited, because I was hearing, oh, there's a reality TV show with cartoonists coming up. I bet everybody's gonna be so nice, and there's gonna be no drama. It's gonna be like, what are you drawing? That's pretty cool. What are you drawing? And then Andrew comes in, and he's like, I know how you could be better. And it's like,
and then his testimony is like, Andrew's a dick. Where does he get off telling me how to improve my craft? I'll improve his face. And it cuts to him being like, sometimes you gotta tell people straight. I'm saying,
with my face. And then it's like,
we've brought in a special guest reviewer. Shaggy's gonna comment on your storytelling. And I start yelling at everyone. Everyone starts crying, and they're like, this is gold. Keep doing it.
I bring in Shaggy to yell
Just throwing a monkey wrench in this show. Yeah, no, I didn't know about that. Interesting.
And then you have to, like, stand on logs with jello on your head.
Yeah, that's the part I want to do, actually.
I just wanted to cut to, like, what is that one with the water world where everybody's getting hit by giant foam bats and things?
Is that what they do?
Have you ever seen that? It's on TV, and it's like these giant moving foam structures. Wipeout.
Wipeout, yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's some good stuff.
Shot off slides. And it's like, yay, fun, but you still see that impact, and it looks horrible because this body just... I'm like, I know that one's foam, but oh my god. I hope
Andrew says, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to win.
I know. I remember Erica, when she was on it, she was like, oh man, I've always been wanting to say that, so finally I got the chance. I'm not here to make friends! Here to win.
Okay, so I'll check that out at some point maybe. Strip Search, as it's called.
Yeah.
How did we get to that? We're talking about,
Penny Arcade. But there was something else I knew. Did you want to go back to the storyboards?
I got nothing.
Oh, sorry, I keep ruining it.
I got nothing.
But if you guys YouTube storyboards, Geek and Sundry on Geek and Sundry's channel, I think it's definitely worth a watch, because you get to hear, especially if you're into storytelling, you just get to hear these guys who've written big popular novels, who are pretty thoughtful and well spoken, just talk about their craft and things they like and what they like about books, and it's good, and it's a different topic every week. So some of them are writing memoirs, some of them are writing based off gaming culture, I guess, mostly the D&D. Some are off of just a whole bunch of topics. So yeah, I do recommend it.
Very nice. Segue. Speaking of weekly shows that are talking about writing, actually that show's monthly, isn't it? I think it's every first Tuesday. Never mind.
Yeah, they're monthly.
All right, speaking of more frequent than monthly, we just had another fantastic Write Nights.
They come up really quickly.
Yeah, they're every Monday.
When I'm in deadline mode, it's like, oh, it's Monday again? Oh, it's Monday again? Oh, it's Monday again.
This one was, of course, Making Monsters, which is quite interesting, and I just threw it out there. That was the topic. and we talked about it quite a bit. And I would talk about more here, but I actually record each episode, and it actually sounds all right. Like, I'm just using the same recording device here, the H4n, just on stereo mode. Passable. I think it's decent. This weekend I'm going to look into how the hell SoundCloud podcasts work. There is a way to upload, because I just don't want to host more shows anymore, because like I don't really have the space or something. Or it's just, I'd rather a YouTube style setup for uploading stuff. I don't want to have to go like, all right, here's the code and there's the link and send the thing and a thing. So yeah, so we had that. That was great. We got some new people coming out.
Nice.
Or person. But people, no, we had more. Yeah, we had 2 new people.
These good people.
And yeah, it's good people.
This guy's good people.
And this thing is definitely open. And I do want to expand out to more people in Toronto. So if you have nothing to do on a Monday night around 7 o'clock, we go to talk at the CSI, the Creative Something Institute place in the annex. We have a thing.
When you walk in, do you have to like make some quip and put on your glasses and then?
No.
Okay.
But
you
if you want.
And you put them on or take them off?
He puts them on.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He puts them on CSI.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where you got that from. I thought it was just because we're writing, and you're like, ooh, writers, just like CSI.
No, I said you have to make a bad pun, and then.
Yeah. No. I connected to where that came from.
I
called the place the CSI.
Like...
I forget what it's actually called. It's like the Creative Something.
Yes.
Which isn't what the S is.
I see. I took a chance because I wasn't even sure if that show was called CSI.
So it is called CSI. I just completely lost track.
I don't know if it's Miami, Boston, legal base.
Even
downtown.
people who had no clue who they were at first. Well, yeah. So basically, once again, if you're in Toronto or near or on transit or drive, it's definitely possible. I do want more people to come out because my friends are probably getting sick of me seeing me every week. So definitely, we need some fresh faces.
Oh, get some more friends.
He's gonna be hosting a thing again. This considerate prick.
They show up early, you walk in the room, they're like, not you again.
Oh my god, I forgot he runs these things. So if you're in Toronto and you want to talk to other writers, and
I'm not tired of this space yet.
We come from all different walks. Definitely check out Write Nights. There's a Facebook group if you want to be added to it. I think you can request being added to it because right now I have it on. It's visible, but it's closed, so no one can just willy-nilly jump in. But I think if I post a link, you should be able to request it. Mm-hmm. I do want more people to come out. I'm not like putting flyers in Toronto or nothing. I'm still keeping it like under control. I don't just want anybody. But no, I kind of do. I want some different perspective because we have people who do like films, we got people who do acting, we got people doing short story, people doing comics, like people of all, as I say, all walks. So if you want to chat, or if you just want to listen, if you're too far, hopefully this weekend they'll be uploading once a week. I wanted a backlog. There's 4 of them right now. Cool. And the next episode coming up this Monday is origin stories. Be it from comics, be it from fairy tales, be it from docudramas. We're always messing and tampering with the origins, but how far can you bend it before it's no longer faithful to the source material? Come along and find out.
With any kind of editing, it's not faithful. The source material.
Yes.
Because you want the source material. It's like you need everybody's point of view on a split screen.
Well, no, I'm just saying like when you remake a story, like Superman's been made so many times, and you're always changing a few things. Like, oh, now he meets Lois over in a bus shelter. Or, oh, now he wears blue pants. And it's just like they keep changing little things. But how far can you bend it before it's like this isn't Superman? And even. To the idea of, say, our fairy tales and stuff, like our Cinderella, it's like that story changes. Okay. And the other half is, do origins also dictate the story itself? Like, it's not just, Superman was planet blew up and he showed up. Well, also, he's got Mom, Pa, Kent, and he's going to meet Lois Lane, and his villains are like Lex Luthor. Like, its origin isn't just the instigator, it's everything that happens after. Every time you retell the story, can you retell, like, say, we're rebooting the X-Men, there's no Magneto, there's no Professor X, Cyclops is now called like Monoclops or Dualclops, and his eyes are just fine. Wolverine is Hairy Man without blades, and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't the X. It's sort of that's you may if you want to dispute this now, you gotta hold up because it's happening on Monday. That's what we're going to talk about. It's not necessarily about rebooting, but that's a part of origins. Mm-hmm. The other half too being how important are the origin stories? Do you need to know the villain's backstory to understand their motives and appreciate why they're doing it? Go like, oh yeah, that's justified. Do that awful thing you do. Go get him. So there's a lot to take under origins. which is good because otherwise I have nothing to talk about. I was fine.
Origins is interesting because it's like at what point does it stop becoming your origin and becomes the story? Because it's like when you say Superman, all that is part of the origins, like Lex Luthor and everything. It's like at what point does like the origin story stop? And
it's like once he's married, it's like okay.
Now this is where
Lois, Luthor, done. Now we continue with new stories.
Because it's almost like Origins is like everything up to now.
Yeah. So as soon as I make something new,
like, hey, I came from here, and it's until it gets static. So
if
it's
you're
like so it's kind of like everything that led up to it becoming peaceful and static.
So if you're saying like a character is the sum of their adventures and stuff, it's like if
because if you're still living them,
so it is an origin always. See, this is we've solved this problem. There goes that episode.
The last I won't be there. It's like the writing which you know, and I'm like, I've got these great points, but I can't show up. So
why don't you come to one of these friends?
I will come this Monday.
Everyone's always promising, and then it's like,
well, because I had deadline.
Next Batman, says Andrew Murray movie. I hope they do an origin in the opening credits and then just jump right into Batman Adventure film. And I think that's something that the Avengers is opening minds up to. That we kind of get it.
Yeah,
it's like we don't need to start again. So like the thing is, they're all like, "Hey, Justice League." It's like, okay, are they going to have to like have a brief of every character's backstory?
Are saying that, but all those movies still came out.
They did. All those movies. All those movies were the origins, but
to Iron Man and.
But the point is, so let's just say Marvel has like twisted the bottle cap a little bit. Which movie is going to actually pull off the cap and be like, all right, you know these characters, let's just get to it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I really like the Avengers, and I really think it worked really well just to have all those characters in there.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, though, because I like Black Widow and Hawkeye, and they didn't have any.
Yeah, they had no origin story. I have no idea what they're up to.
But like, if you didn't watch Thor and suddenly this Loki guy's running around, I don't think you'd have all the fan base that.
I wouldn't either. I'd be like, why has he got horns?
Like, what's going on? Why is he a jerk brother? Whereas if you hadn't seen the Thor movie and you didn't see the sad fall of him being like a close brother, and then finding out that he's not a brother. And
but to the point of Batman, is it unfair to the next generation, like a child who doesn't know Batman's origin story? He's like, I don't get this movie. Why is he dressed like a bat? And you're like, oh, so like, I feel
you
like
gotta slow everything down for like this kid. Like, it's like go back and watch it, and then.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, can we actually just take the heroes and go? Because even when you start a new animated series, like when Young Justice or Justice League first happened, where they're just like, here's the Justice League. You all know Superman. You all know Batman. Or did they do like a little, Batman came from this thing. Superman, that thing. Here comes Wonder Woman from there.
Like and then it starts as a serial.
On this episode, on Intrepid Heroes that form the Justice League.
That's what I freaking loved about the Avatar Korra. How it would always start with that like.
Oh yeah. The radio like last time on Korra. No, talk about an airbending. It was just like it was great because it caught you up on what happened. It was also enjoyable on its own right.
Like,
well, because Avatar did it too. Because it's like previously on Avatar, and it's like Uncle, and then all this other stuff happens. But this was more like a news like clip, like Korra got in trouble with the anti-benders.
Well, it makes sense because it's based in a city, so it's like anything can happen.
Tonight on the news.
I remember when that was coming out too, people were talking about, this was something we were talking about when I was on that fantasy panel, and it was like, it's not a fantasy if you don't go on an adventure.
Yeah. Korra doesn't really go on it.
Well, because I remember people arguing that, like, you know, where is this show going to go because she's in a city and that's it. Versus, like, an
urban fantasy, that's where it's going.
Cities. But I would argue that, like, I love wandering around Toronto. I love it.
Yeah, there's lots of fun.
You can always find a new neighborhood. So, I mean, your whole adventure could take place in your house.
Yeah.
If you made it interesting.
I feel like RPGs
what's happening in this room?
Spend so much time giving you a world map. It's like, Cloud, come on, you haven't seen all there is to offer in Nibelheim.
You're in one
taking the sights,
you're
buddy.
On Main Street, Nibelheim.
Oh my god.
You can just go in the whole city.
There's so much culture.
It's like, it looks big, but then you can only go
They just don't let you leave because you haven't toured enough. It's like, oh, you haven't even been to the Shrimp Festival. You gotta go Shrimp Fest.
You gotta Shrimp Fest. Like, if there was like an RPG where every level was as big as like Assassin's Creed, where it's actually a whole giant city. And it's like, the Shrimp Festival's coming up again.
Yeah, it's all NPCs. The whole town is full of people who are just like, oh, a storm's coming.
What would be good though is like if there was like a big boss battle happening, but also like the coolest party in town is happening that night somewhere else.
And you gotta decide
if you want to
how to budget your time,
or if you want to like go out with that girl that you've been like slowly like getting to work.
But then if this goes,
she's gonna be at that party.
If this goes back to my Assassin's Creed, I'd completely forget the plot and just be decorating my villa because I'm like, look at these art I got, and I'm like, oh yeah, my family. Oh. Right.
Maybe some more art will make me feel.
Yeah, it's true, actually. Da Vinci, what a guy. You know, it's like I got more into this hanging out.
I wanted to talk about too. Jerry was talking about some show he watched the other day about this guy who was an immortal and talking about his life. And of course, when you're an immortal guy, you always hang out with Da Vinci and Picasso and all the cool people.
Anyone who's notable.
Anyone is anyone. Like you've been hanging out with them. And I was kind of like, why is that? Like, just because I guess if you've been around long enough, you get to be suave and cool and sophisticated enough, you can get into all these. I want a story with someone who's an immortal but is so awkward.
The awkward immortal?
They can't ever get in with any crowd.
Yeah.
So it's just like failing to like connect.
Through the generations.
Or it's like not quite. Because it's like all these people are always like cool with, oh yeah, I was hanging out with Hemingway and I said to...
So this guy hits like every era's taboos. Like he just can't adapt.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if that exists yet, but I would like to.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be depressing.
It would be so sad, but I would relate to it a lot more. Where it's like you almost knew a guy who was best friends with that guy.
Yeah, it's like, you met Da Vinci? It's like, well, I knew his cousin's friend. Yeah. He said he was a cool guy, though. Like, he was always, man, the things he'd make. Oh, you saw them? Well, he told me about them. Holy crap.
Actually, I just read about them last week, but I was around the same time.
I was on Wiki.
Because it's a giant world, right? Like,
yeah, like, your chances are you're not going to run into these guys.
Because it's like, even today, it's like, so...
I didn't run into Zuckerberg.
Yeah, being alive today, you're not best friends with Abrams and Zuckerberg. And yesterday I was talking to Trump, and who are the big names of this day? Like,
exactly. Well, that's the whole same thing with people. Like, everyone's past life, they're only people they've heard about already.
Well, yeah, and it's like...
It's like, I was Napoleon twice.
Well, and also, too, it's like, I remember people talking about, it's like... stuff like, in past life you're always Cleopatra. It's like, well, why aren't I like Jim Bob the shoemaker? Like, he was a perfectly decent dude.
Yeah, he did alright. It's the same thing from Game of Thrones. It's, you won't be remembered. History will not remember you for this, but you have our thanks or something. Yeah. Except your character has no one's thanks. No one likes him.
But the audience likes you, so you win.
There you go. Hooray. You're back in the next season. We had a few things. The origin is something.
GIF I saw, was and this is like Game of Thrones in joke, so people might not get it, but it's when Arya's learning to water dance from the guy who's teaching her to fight.
Oh, okay.
You know, he dances with water, it's sword fighting, and he's like, there's only one God in his death, and when the only thing we can say to him when he comes to take us, and in the show he says not today. Yeah. But in the GIF it's like, what do we say when the God of Death comes? Take Sean Bean. It's like always.
That's pretty good.
For any movie.
That's pretty awful. What a bunch of things were said here. Avengers movie. As a kid, sometimes you don't see the origin. The Batman TAS didn't have an origin episode in the beginning, so I think it could be done. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was like Mr. Free's story and stuff, and it's like later on. All right. I think it's not shown as often in TV shows as it is in movies. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess like Young Justice wasn't like, all right, everyone, let's sit down and talk about each other before we form this team. Like Teen Titans was just like, he's a cyborg dude, he's an animal dude, magic alien, Robin. Mm-hmm. What else you need? You know, there you go. And Slade, you know, that guy. The origin is something that can come along when they discover more about the character. Interesting. But as I say, this will all be discussed this Monday. At Right Night. I'm thinking of calling it like Right Night Toronto at some point. Nice. But I think I'll do that once I like branch out and like make Right Night Vancouver, which I won't do. I keep that in mind though, just in case. It's like someone's like, that sounds like a good idea, man. I'm like, well, we better start renaming these things. The adventure comes to her, I believe. Creepypasta style. Cora, she doesn't have to go out and find one. There you go. Lots of good stuff. And Jim says, kids of the century. From the time traveling dick.
Okay.
Where do we go to get there? We talked about Cora. I can also just jump out to something else entirely.
Yeah, let's just jump.
Let's see if I can naturally segue out of this one.
You're pretty
I'm trying to think which one I want to do. What did I say in the opening? Okay, let's just get over this quickly. So yeah, they're like, hey, Han Solo movie, Boba Fett movie.
I just heard about that today, and I was like, my initial reaction was like, no, because I said if you're going to do Star Wars movies, don't touch those characters anymore. Yeah. It's done.
Speaking of origins, now we get to find out everything we didn't want to know about Han Solo.
And they were asking about it at work too, like, oh, who are they going to play Han Solo? And I'm like, CG Harrison Ford, I don't care. At this point.
Keep his youth.
Unless it's like, oh gosh. It's only because I just watched Drive recently.
Oh, okay.
They had Ryan Gosling.
You want him to be Harrison Ford?
No, because he's a different kind of...
Ryan Gosling plays...
I just think he's kind of handsome.
guess he's just kind of like around.
Yeah, he is around.
Driving and stuff. Yeah, I don't know if they said it was the Han Solo Boba Fett double feature, like if it was like one film with both of them in it.
You know what I'd rather see?
Or if
that,
it's
like, heavy metal
two
one
separate.
Did way back when.
Yeah.
Like, did
the one from the Christmas special.
If he had characters
I think he did everything on it.
Yeah. That was cool.
Like, that was the best part
of
the Star Wars Christmas special was the Sheridan Animation students making a Star Wars animation.
Oh, it's great. You know, and this Christmas, too, if you guys haven't seen Star Wars Christmas specials,
don't.
Do yourself a favor.
Don't.
It's a treat. If
don't.
It's playing in your local theater,
don't.
Just go.
It's not even funny after a while. It just hurts.
Because it really hurts.
You'll be the last 3 in the theater.
And then you'll wonder why you ever argued about these movies ever.
But check out the animated short. It's really good, but... Alright, I'm just gonna brace you for it. It's a variety show where they realized they had to entertain the whole family if they could, and they didn't.
In Chewbacca's family's house.
Yes.
So Imperial Stormtroopers show up and they're like, what's on the TV? And they'll turn the
What's
TV
on the holocron?
And then they'll be like bopping around to music.
If it isn't a dancing 5-armed guy.
Funny, the way I'm describing it, but it's not.
It's not. Don't do it. Don't.
You went to make fun of it.
Don't. It makes fun of you in the end. Don't. Yeah. You're the loser in this situation.
Yeah.
Hannah says, speaking of origins, I think it's used as a way to make the audience connect more to the character. Like, yeah, Batman was a regular rich kid, just like you.
Oh, I was a regular rich kid.
Yeah, we all know how Batman feels.
Until all my money got stolen by a bat.
That'd be the new origin of Batman, and now he's like trying to find a bat.
Where's my money?
So he's blending in with bats in the costume, and he's like trying to shake down the bat that took his wealth. Mm-hmm. You see, like, instead of the bat flying through the window, it's flying out the window with a big bag of Scrooge McDuck money. And Bruce is like, you bastard.
You'll never get those back.
See, like, now if we propose this to DC, they'd be like, yeah, we screwed with everything already. Just do it. Why not?
Sure.
We messed with enough continuity. Go for it. Like, it couldn't hurt much more. New 53. Let's do it. Whatever. Speaking of Batman, interesting article came out. Apparently, Becky Cloonan is the first woman to draw a main series Batman comic.
I'm really excited to get that one.
I saw some frames from it. It looks really interesting. But I guess this is actually like they're making a big deal of it because I guess it's like this is the sequential submission. Yeah, this is the next official Batman thing. That's the thing
I was describing too, where I think it's you have a story arc, but artists can only ever work on 2 or 3 stories sequentially because the deadlines are so nuts. So I mean, for a main series like that, I don't think you get someone doing very many. It'll be like. Even when she was doing her run on Conan the Barbarian, it's like she kind of launched it, she did a couple, and then another artist took over. So they do switch you around when you're on mainstream comics. Like, I don't know if... I mean, I guess because... no, but I guess because this was independent, as you're saying. Like, I guess J. Scott Campbell worked on most of it getting up there. I don't know too much about it. But if you're working on, say, New 52 Batman, you might get 2 comics.
Yeah.
You take a break and you move on to something else, as far as I understand it. Because, I mean, I think you have to turn those things around in a month.
Where would these fine folks know Becky Cloonan from?
Becky Cloonan, gosh, she's awesome. She started out kind of making a lot of mini comics and then slowly started building up and doing work for... she did something for, what was it? Was it Tokyo Pop had a launch?
Oh.
She had that pirate one story where she had... Gosh, I wasn't ready for this. If I was, but, you know, Google Becky Cloonan. Her art is really great. She's done a couple... of her own independent comics. She launches them every year at TCAF, and they're great.
Oh, okay.
Short, 30-page stories, beautifully done. Her inks are gorgeous. I love her work so much.
Sounds like you're going to buy a single issue Batman.
She's worked with
Demo,
Wood,
yeah.
I believe is the writer. You don't.
I don't know any writers.
Yes.
I don't know any writer's name. This is partly why I couldn't get into storyboard too good, because they're all just like dropping names like, oh, just like John Gabarger's Dark Story. I'm like,
names.
who?
I know those names.
Jim Biggity Boo wrote this story, and it was as good as Jamie Bagadibar's
some stuff I don't get.
fantasy.
But some stuff I do get.
They're the worst writers in my mind.
What?
I don't know, just these names. But yeah, no, so I guess, I don't know when that issue's coming out, but double check that. But the web's making a whole thing, because it's like, it's first like time ever. But I'm like,
she's really talented.
Yeah, she's like, it looked really interesting. I want to check it out. And that's the thing, like, I don't really buy the superhero single issues. Like, once again, we waited for the New 52 trade of Redhead Batwoman, Ghost Mystery, Ghostbuster Extraordinaire, or whichever it was.
Surprised me the level of supernaturalness in that, because I wasn't expecting it, but I do like Batwoman a lot. I think the art is really cool. I think she's a bit jerky, but
She is, and I don't know how that
she's
skeleton
cult-like,
dude
I think.
smokes, because I don't think he has lungs, so that's just me. Some things just distract me. Like, okay, there's the suspension of disbelief, you're like, Batman, punching. But when you have a dude who has a skeleton head and a cigarette...
No, it doesn't.
It's charming.
I like.
But I'm just like,
but it's like, yeah, I feel kind of bad for like, I can be your partner. And she's like, no, you'll get killed. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what any responsible superhero would say.
Yeah, in this modern age when superheroism isn't as fun anymore, it's all about dying. Yeah, rough. Where was I going from there? That's coming out. See, I got no comic news. Storyboard Urban Fantasy, I did that. No, that's a backup question.
Ask your backup question.
Oh, okay. Alright, this goes out to all of you then. So, if you had the powers of Jubilee from the X-Men, would you use them for good or for evil?
Evil. I mean, what could you even do with evil? All you do is throw parties.
I know. What if it's like a really bad party?
That's your evil.
I'll pose that to you guys too. Let's say you woke up one morning and Xavier's in your room and he's like, guess what? You're Jubilee now. And you're like, ah, nuts. Or you're like, yeah!
Well, I think it's an improvement from my current superpowers.
I guess, yeah.
Which are not.
Now, maybe Jubilee had like a lot more going for her in the comics and the story. But for now, I just remember.
I think someone just wanted to name a character Jubilation Lee and give her.
That was her name, Jubilation?
Yeah, Jubilation Lee.
Lee.
And so
yes.
her character name was Jubilee.
Yes.
I think someone just really wanted to do
That's
that.
like Mr.
And
Calendar
like,
becomes the date man.
Yeah,
and
or like
stuff.
Harlequin is Harleen Quinzel.
Yeah. It was an innocent time.
And Scarecrow is Ichabod something? Crane, right? No, he's not Ichabod.
No, he's like
Dr. Crane.
Frank Crane.
Yeah.
Scotty Crane.
Like it all
something
kind
like
of
that.
leads to it.
Yeah, well, because it's like you don't go too far from the pasture when you're mulching, or I forgot the words is, but it's basically you don't. It's basically they don't have enough time. They're crazy fans. They don't have enough time to come up with a whole new moniker. It's like it's got to work with what you got is what they do. It's like
nuts.
It's like Professor Chili Pants becomes Mr. Freeze. You're like, well, that wasn't much of a stretch.
Like, I know guys were super busy back then, but we were like Jerry was reading a book about the start of Marvel, and it describes I think the studio before was Marvel, and I think and people like whoa, I totally forgot his name. What the hell? Come back. The main Marvel artist. I am so embarrassed. Jack Kirby. Kirby and another artist. They'd work there at that studio, and on their lunches they'd go work in a hotel drawing other comic pages. Yeah. Like just the work ethic these guys had and how much they drew back then.
I feel like they lived the drifting lifestyle where in that book they're just constantly drawing.
Non-stop drawing.
It's basically like I've got 7 books for young mystery shonen, and now I'm going to do 15 more books for tomorrow night. I'm like, what are you doing, buddy?
If you guys haven't read Drifting Life, it's the kind of the story of, I forget the name of the mangaka, but it's
loosely on him because it's not actually him. It's like
but
not
he's just
him.
drawing tons and tons and tons of comics.
Like every day, Tezuka's like, "Oh, what you guys working on, buddy?" And then it's like, "Oh, we're just doing 17 comics for this press."
And he's like, "Oh, I made $1 billion. Also, I'm a doctor."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm a doctor. I saved lives, and I have 500 comics I'm working on right now, due tomorrow. Good luck, fellas." And the next day, he's like, "Oh, I finished those old things. Right now, I'm working on 5 million new comics. I'm building a new planet, and I'm drawing all the people. See you later, chums."
Parade grows, and you get sucked up into it.
It's just like they're always making so many comics in that story. So check it out, Drifting Life. It's bizarre.
I gotta say, they probably have that style too, where they don't do roughs, and this is something I wish I could do more.
Just go straight for the finish.
You just go straight for the finish. You don't worry about thinking about.
That might actually be part of it, yeah.
Yeah, because there's artists who's okay. So last Friday was Hourly Comic Day, and I didn't participate. I drew 2 panels and I couldn't get it done. I really wanted to, but I sucked at it. There you go. But some people got some really great stuff done, and the stuff I loved was like straight ink, just kind of you're just going with your gut because you're just drawing something every hour and you don't have time to finesse it. And I honestly think if you get better at that, like you can totally tell stories quicker because it's just done, telling a quick little short story, finished, and you're building up the confidence to do it like that. And I wish I had that skill. There's some artists that I feel just do it right in ink and it's done. And I have to like noodle forever, and then I will trace with my inks. Yeah.
So you want to learn just to draw the final thing right away?
I just want to be able to, because I see people, I did my hourly comics in my sketchbook and I watercolored them. It's like their sketchbook is final art, and it looks great. It looks super good, and they go for a simple style, and it works awesome, but, I don't have the confidence to tell. When I was a kid, I used to fill so many sketchbooks with sequential comics. I just go straight for it, but now it's just, no idea over here, and this, I'll scan this and drop over there, but I really just want that straight, go ahead, good enough finish quality that some people have and rock so well.
A quick thing that I had down from tied to writing and stuff. I just found out about this today. So apparently there's a thing called the Bad Sex Awards for novelists, and it basically celebrates
the worst sex
the worst sex written scenes in the book. And the point of this article was J.K. Rowling from her recent A Casual Vacancy and L. James from 50 Shades trilogy both got shortlisted. They didn't make the list because apparently Rowling is still too good to make the bad sex list. I think they're just going out for her because they're just being mean. Because like she's allowed to write other stuff. Why not? You know, leave her alone. She made Harry Potter. Leave her alone.
Andrew Murray shows up at her door. I want to be honest.
JK, that's.
She's like, shut up.
Who do you think you are, Murray? Get out, you bloke.
What are you doing in England?
But yeah, the whole article is like really going after those two. Thank you, The Guardian. But let's see if I can read. I don't know if I want to read any of these actually, because they give you some select pieces.
I've read some bad stuff. Sorry, wait, is everybody 18?
Is everyone old enough for this?
I don't think
this
so.
This is a learning show. We're going to teach you how to write
young folks.
non-gross crap. So, these are extracts from the short list from The Quiddity of Wilf Self by Sam Mills. He says, down on the escalator. I don't know.
Wait, do they actually describe the scene?
No, this is actually quotes from it. I'll read that
one. Oh, that'd be great, because at the awards, it's like, you know, in movies where they show you your Oscar scene, it's like, they announce
Oh, here we go.
Awards show up.
Back to Blood by Tom Wolfe. Or Wolfe.
Sounds excellent.
Now, this big generative jockey was inside her. Okay.
Oh.
I don't want to read this. Alright, The Adventures, The Irresistible Rise of Miss Cat Fox by Nicholas. I seem to be a lot of guys writing this wrong. Oh wait, so okay, this is interesting actually.
So guys are writing the bad sex.
Yeah, they're all guys. No, there's Nancy. Nancy Houston from Nancy, you ruined it for the rest of us. This is when I take my picture from deep inside the loving. The cannon is part of my body.
Oh, gosh.
I myself. Wait, what?
No.
Oh, I don't know. That's what it was. Oh, she's actually. She's a brand.
Describing it.
Okay, I thought it was like poetic, like canon. And that's also bad. But
I like this is where I take the picture.
It could have been an
This
Ikea.
is a snapshot. Here's one for the mantle.
The point is, there's awards out there, and supposedly it's actually a big deal if you actually attend the award show.
You know what would be an amazing trophy where it's like the book is kind of like a bed, and then it's like awkward characters on it. Like, okay. Look at the two. Okay.
But
how old is our chat? Sorry.
I don't know. Master Stealth is lagging, and TV Dan says it's fine for me.
Oh, it started lagging as soon as we started.
What? I just don't trust anything with liquidy in the title.
Hey,
cover your robot ears. So yeah, this also inspires me if I should do a write night about sexy times. That's all I'm ever going to call it in this conversation. I'll be like, it's sexy time writing. Because I don't know if anyone I know has ever done that. Like, have any of you guys actually wrote sexy times? And I'm not being like...
I told you about this, though, because I couldn't do it. I was, way back when...
The anthology.
I was invited to be a
sexy
part
time
of
anthology.
The Smut Peddler anthology, and I was like, cool, because there are a lot of really cool people and part of it.
Yeah.
And when I started to write my story, I was like, I can't write smut. I just get too, like... and then, let alone draw it. I'm like, I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I had to back down. Also, too, I work in children's television, so it's like, I don't want my name Googled necessarily, and that's coming up.
You need a pen name for that. It's like
but I mean, I do want it to talk about adult situations in comics at some point, but I was like, I can't do straight up smut.
Like what Katie Porpoise wrote. Just because we're all adults doesn't mean we're expected to be mature about bad sex writing, right? Pretty much. This is scarcely similar to the conversation that happened in the studio, says Daniel Luke.
I'm not surprised. Animation studio.
But I'm curious, like, have any of you guys, like, you don't have to tell me, but I'm curious, have any of you guys, with a simple yes or no, show won't continue until you're honest.
Yeah.
I need 17 yeses or nos.
Or giant Y capital or...
Have you ever wrote sexy times? And I don't mean like...
This includes fan fiction.
Yes. But like earnest. You're like, this is steamy stuff. I'm just curious.
I mean, I've read some steamy stuff, but I haven't written any.
Yeah, they talk a bit about that stuff in Urban Fantasy too. Alright, Tina Turner says no. That's one no.
With a period at the end of it, no.
Firm belief. We got a nope from Alex. I don't know. Right. Sexy times aren't rolling.
I don't think.
We got 9 from Jim Crone. Should I write? No, I can't. I'd start and then it just get
I don't
messed
think I
up
could ever
halfway.
read anything.
Oh, we got Yep years ago. All right, Rachel, you're on the spot.
All right.
I lied about not details. Dish it.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I feel like if you're like, here's a book I wrote, and there's sexy times in it, I'd be like, I don't know if I can
Can you review this for me and give suggestions?
Your voice like, and I went. No.
Hello, madam. It's like,
also some mighty fine bazooms.
yeah, exactly.
Like that's.
So maybe
I'm like,
I wouldn't be right for it.
I can't. No.
Who's to say I don't already have like a pen name and I wrote like some best-selling novels? You never know.
Your pen name is like, you're like this latest book, Desperate Duchesses.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, and a gentleman never tells the details, says Flux Flux.
Nice.
No, from Alejandro. Nice. Creepy Porpy says, even if I had, it wouldn't be very sexy, but no. That's just it, though. It's like, yeah, like, it's the thing about... Oh, it wasn't just this, actually. The reason I got the link to the Bad Sex Book Awards was because I put... Master Cell says, dish it, girl. I posted, for whatever reason, I found a link to, like, Canada's answer to 50 Shades of Grey. It's like, move over, L whatever. Here comes Canada. And then this, like, we all banded together
safety word,
and revealed our deepest, darkest. Like, the whole point was, like, this author, like, she was like, about sexy times. And the editor was like, I dare you. And she's like, okay. And now she's got, like, the best-selling Canadian Sexy Times book. And she's got, like, a 2-book deal. So that got me thinking. I'm like,
Saskatchewan, and there's
yes,
like a bus
there's an oil rig.
Everybody's drinking Tim Hortons. What else is CanCon?
The Queen stops by and goes, what's going on in here?
I am amused.
I'm not amused. That was a great episode of Doctor Who. We'll get back to that. And so this kind of inspired me, being like, so if my editor, if I had one, was like, I dare ya, I'll be like, fine, I double dog dare ya. And then we're both writing Sexy Time books and competing. I'm like, would it sell if we had enough publicity behind it? Is that all you need these days? I don't know. Or if, like that list, how they're all men who screwed it up, do I have no chance in hell in writing a Sexy Time book? Because it'd just be like, and then he grabbed the Xbox controller and said, excuse me, I gotta play Halo. And then all these guys are like, what do you do next? He's like, you got a multi-kill.
I mean, that's funny. That's not fair to you.
And this is how I write, though. I can't focus.
But you're a humor writer. I mean,
maybe.
There's been lots of guys who've written good.
Some guys looking so hot. Oh, God.
I'm gonna get some water.
Oh, right. Can you give me some water? It's getting hot in here.
It's gonna do steaming.
These Sexy Time books of mine. It's gotta be a new word. This ain't no Harley Quinn. This is Master Chief.
You're giving a thumbs up.
Oh, man. So, yeah. I'm probably not the right person. Maybe J.K. Rowling is. Maybe she isn't. I don't know. I haven't read the book. How many of you guys read the book? I don't know if there was, like... We may have mentioned this before, but I don't think there was really any, like, lineups. Like, no one was dressed up as characters from a casual conversation or whatever it was to get the book. But I haven't read it myself. I did the first chapter, and I'm like, it's descriptive. Like most of her work, it's well done. Whatever. She's in a spot where people are like, I want more Harry Potter. But I'm like, dude, just fly. If you love something, let it go. You know? Let Roland go. Let her do what she wants. She's rolling in it. If you've seen the South Park documentary, they're pretty much just right like you, says Rachel.
I like the South Park documentary.
I haven't seen it yet, actually.
I'm making an episode in a week.
Where would I find this?
We can actually watch after this.
Yes, let us do that. And yeah, I kind of miss that. Not that I've ever had it, but I want this kind of like round table stuff. I always say that, but I'm never good at group writing.
It's tricky.
I'm just like, I don't know. I'm still too self-conscious.
I like it when I go to the Krat pitches. It's like because they're the guys who write the boards. It's like there's still a little bit of room for some leeway, so you can all just go around just shouting out different. If you're like, this would work better, or here's a pun, it's like, yeah, I love that. Let's put that in. Like, I like that because you have the freedom to influence.
I just feel like I don't have enough knowledge of like contemporary things to write humor about it because it's like.
Well, I mean, if you're writing contemporary humor.
That's the thing. I don't want to. I don't like it.
I
want to avoid contemporary humor. That's why I can't write.
You can write funny without name dropping some thing like every couple, like Family Guy. I don't even know what they're referencing half the time. I'm like, I don't know pop culture, so I don't get this joke. I mean, if you make a joke of something I'm finally understanding 5 years later, but.
Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff I gotta work on still. This is free on Netflix, but I'm talking about Canadian Netflix. I gotta get me some of that American Netflix where all the good shows are. Like Portlandia.
I think that's not Canadian.
No, I don't think so.
There's a lot more reality TV.
Is there?
Yeah.
I find it weird whenever I see like web series on Netflix now when it's like, you know, the Guild has been there for a while and now there's like video game high schools
video
there.
Game Academy
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I'm like,
that's
oh,
some fun
they're all
stuff.
on
But me and
Netflix.
Jerry were like, can't stand the main character. We're like, why?
Oh well.
We're just like Freddie W.
Pretty much. What else we got going? Have you guys seen Sherlock? I've only seen the first one.
Which Sherlock?
Probably the BBC. I've been meaning to watch more of them. I want to watch more of them. Because everyone's talking about it. I don't want no spoilers.
I'm caught up.
You caught up? Oh.
Yeah, I marathoned it with Heather.
Oh, shoot. I still got to do that. I gotta watch it all.
That was pretty good. I guess I gotta take care of this.
What?
I was just thinking about it because it's still. When we were watching Sherlock last time, we were watching Netflix in my room, and we ended up kicking Jerry out of the room that night. So I just passed out on my bed. But we were drinking hot chocolate, and she had a full one on the counter, and the alarm went off in the morning, and I went to reach it and knocked the whole hot chocolate off, and it splashed her in the face. And it splashed like the curtains. And
wow.
I just remembered I still have to get out of the curtains, but that's like the best wake up call. It's just hot, cold chocolate. Just
That's pretty awful.
And I just think of that because we marathon Sherlock shortly before that happened. It's like, good morning.
There's one more thing I had on my list. Where was it? Oh, yeah. Karamori, Bride Story.
Tell me more. Did you bring copies?
No, I didn't.
Why?
Because it's still at my house. But I just want to talk about something that's interesting. If you guys haven't checked this out yet, if you enjoyed, I've brought up Karamori a couple of times from Emma, and they've less written about anything Shirley. It's kind of like a one-off. But Emma, good stuff. And Bride Story, so far there's the fourth one just came out recently here in Mario, North America. And man, I'm just loving the storytelling and like the art and everything in it, and
I just like her little daily life things, like a character going to go buy material.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, let's get a wagon wheel. It's like, this is such an adventure.
Yeah, it's like a guy carving a wooden post for a house.
Yeah,
like it's
that's
a
your day.
Story about that.
It's like there is an overall story arc, but then there's just like once in a while it's like, let's brush the goat, and it's just like such an adventure. You know, that doesn't happen. No. But it's just like they'll spend a whole issue just doing like one thing, like, what? That's a fava bean? And they're like, well, let's talk about it. I love when it's about
food.
Yeah.
Just the way they draw food is so good.
There's an interesting point that I got from watching it, reading it. Because it's like, it's all about nomadic, where's it based, would you say?
Middle East somewhere?
Middle East, at the border of Russia.
I'd almost say like...
They mentioned Russia a bit.
Yeah, like, I don't know the territories too well.
But it's all about that culture of like these nomadic kind of families that just own like certain amounts of land, and then there's like people being married off and the trades that happen, and it's all about like what goes between. And there's something very interesting about this story because in the most part, every modern tale about like arranged marriage and stuff, it's usually like, oh, father, I want to marry someone for love, and in the end they win, and then they marry for love, and then the parents change their ways. And this you'll see happen, of course, in Disney all the time. You got Aladdin, you got Brave, you got... And it's always like, oh, I don't want to marry that guy.
Yeah, and it's like, if you didn't fight it, would you wind up with a totally horrible person? Then I guess it's kind of like, well, a lot of people did this, and it's like, was every marriage like a terrible one? So it's nice to see a story.
What's interesting is this series is like about like the kind of arranged marriage situation. Mm-hmm. We got Mongolia or something. This is Rachel. Yeah, and it's like, it's interesting to see characters who are like all for it. Like they in this culture, it's kind of like they know their next move is to be married to someone. So it's like, as opposed to being like, but I want to wait for someone I love, and then that's the core of the story. That's not about that. This marriage is going to happen anyway. Yeah. And it's all about like what leads up to that, and characters aren't like depressed about it and stuff. It's like this is, you know, it's a very interesting read, and it's very unique in that like, sense, honestly, nowadays.
Yeah, because when I try to describe it to people, it does come across a little problematic. Where people are like, huh? And I'm like, no, but it's like it's like a good telling of a different kind of cultural. Yeah. You know, it's family relationships. It's coming to the new family, and
yeah, it's all about
not
integration.
Every family's full of evil people. It's like some of these stories are like it's a nice family that welcomes you, getting to know new people, and I guess when you're the woman, you go become a part of that family.
Actually, no, the guy goes too. I think right? No, there was a case where one of the men in the main house with the thin eyes. So. He's always looking kind of like more sly. I think he came from another family. It has I don't know if it has to do with what you attribute. More wealth, maybe. It's confusing, but there's a lot of research going on to this. There's probably a lot more I don't understand, but it's like all about what you bring to that family too, and there mentioned stuff like if a bride has good, embroidery skills, whatever, she can actually get a larger endowment or whatever from the dowry from the other family because she has more skills that are marketable and stuff like that. And it's really interesting stuff to read and very counter to kind of everything
you hear in a normal story that deals with arranged marriage.
Yeah, because arranged marriage is usually the awfulest thing in the world, but the truth of the matter is it does still happen. And I had a conversation about this recently, and it's the idea of proximity. Like, often, who do you date and marry are people in your immediate kind of... And I'm not saying for or against. This is just kind of like some facts of why it's not the worst thing ever in these cases, where it's like you're with people long enough that you get accustomed to them. And it's honestly, just give it a read for yourself. See what you think about it. It's Bride Story, Kawamori. There's 4 issues out now.
It's a really sweet story.
The art is fantastic. There's a heavier plot. There's 2 heavier plots kind of going along in the background, but it tends to kind of surface once in a while. And it's just fascinating stuff. Yeah. Rachel's saying, and she's like 18 and the boy's 12. Okay, so
she's like 20
something.
21.
She's a late bride in this case, but
yeah.
their relationship is more family-ish.
It is
not
chaste because it's like he's just a kid, and so they're just kind of hanging out, getting used to each other.
But he's very mature for his age. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, but that's the thing when I'm describing the comic to people, they're like, what? Yeah. I'm like, no. But
well, when we say he's 12 and she's 20.
The ages were reversed. I'm like, yeah, okay, but okay.
Yeah, but he's
not
like.
Just read it.
But he's like gonna be like the young master of the house soon, so he's very mature. He's not like, dude, I saw her boob. It's like there's nothing like that. It's not like that. It's hard to explain, but just give it a read if you get a chance. It's like everything about it's excellent. It's like the art, the storytelling, the pacing, the characters. Very interesting stuff.
Koru really just loves the research.
Am I pronouncing her name wrong?
I think it's called Koru.
Karu.
And I love her little aside author stuff, like her little author comics are hilarious. Just just so simple, but the expressiveness of things.
Rachel continues saying he's a kid, but he's not incapable. He comes from a family where everyone works, and that's also a case. Is like you get to see the culture of everyone is contributing something. There's no downtime. Like there is, it's fun once in a while, but it's like these are households that are constantly needing management.
To get bored and to feel sad.
There's always something happening.
Like you gotta run the house. You gotta go to town. You gotta. I mean, you're living in the desert. You have to. I mean, well, are they in the desert? No, they're in a town.
No, it depends on where they go.
But I mean, there's a lot to do to take care of. So you don't have the modern conveniences that make life so easy and give you time to think about stuff more. It's like, my dad was coming across kind of like, these people are done. No, that's not what I meant, but like, no, it's good. I like it.
Fully recommend it. Check it out. Do I have any other comic recommendations?
Shanahanigans stamp of approval.
Yeah, no, boom. Like, no complaints. Like, man, are you drawing the stamp of approval? Oh,
I'm writing it down.
Like, what is
but our show notes have the same links from last week.
Do they?
Yeah.
Do we just talk about the same things?
Kind of.
Okay.
I said storyboard and writing.
Well, was there any videos we talked about, or movies, or series?
I just don't want to make it a list of movies we talked about.
Yeah, because we could say, hey, you should watch Neil Patrick Harris's Puppet Dreams. I could say that. I could say, hey, I don't have any other shows I'm watching right now. What am I watching right now? Nope, nothing. But there was something else. Actually, I wonder if any of you guys, quickly going back to my pursuit of 90s nostalgia, or just buying comics I never read, what your thoughts were on Savage Dragon, Witchblade, Wildcats, Milk and She, Scud the Disposable Assassin, The Max, Cerebrus,
all in one word,
Vampirilla, and She. If you read any of those, or should I bother pursuing any of them, or is it one of those things where like, oh, give it time, wait for the 7th issue, or like, I don't know, should I? Because I want to kind of go back, because these are comics that were always around, and I just never... Flexbox says Oreo Whisper Fight, which is honestly the best ad from the Super Bowl.
That was really funny.
I just love great. Very good.
You guys were the cops.
You gotta stop fighting. We're the cops. That was amazing. They live in the fields. Think Pride Lands from Lion King. Going back to Bride's story.
Fields. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like pomegranate trees and rocky mountains and grass.
And you got horses and camels and stuff.
Yeah, she rides a horse. Awesome.
And has a bow and arrow.
She's badass. It's got this great sequence of her hunting a rabbit from horseback. It's so cinematic. The action of it is just really well. It's like it's shot like you can see it like a movie. It's so cool. Yeah, she knows her stuff. She's also like got really good anatomy down. Like whenever you see a naked lady, it's like nice, decent full figure.
Well, she has like
it
weighty
makes
people,
sense,
like they
and
have
hands that make sense.
Yeah,
and,
like if you've been following
like, hips that look like they make sense. It's not just like
Escher Girls on Tumblr, which is always fun. You'll see how things could be drawn pretty ridiculous with the twisting and all that good stuff, and legs that should not be way over there. Yeah, definitely. Her characters are pretty much fully formed people.
Yeah.
It's kind of rare these days, in a way, or at least from the media perception. And also, if you guys have any questions, throw them our way, because I've kind of ran out of topics. I have like backup safety questions, but you really don't want me to use them all in one episode.
Backup safety questions.
Well, it's just like if I got nothing, because like once again, my weeks have been like, oh, video editing, hobo.
I like having these shows though, because it's like even when we get really busy, we still have time to just like sit down. What are you up to?
Oh yeah. Well, that was like this video I saw, which was it was like an ad for Chinese New Year's or something. Like in a whole, like the Chinese New Year's Commission came to make this ad, and the point was, he was like, when I was a kid, my mom was really busy because it's a single parent family. The only time we spent together was when we were eating, and she'd say, "You want more rice?" I'd be like, "Yeah." And then it kind of goes on, and right there I figured out what the punchline was going to be, but I almost spoiled it just yet. And then it's like, but now I'm a grown man, and I like The Office, and when mom's like, "Are you coming home for Chinese New Year's?" I'm like, "No." But then I surprise her, and it was then that I realized I didn't actually want more rice. I just said I wanted more so she'd stay around longer giving me rice at the table. And I called it! Way at the beginning, I'm like, he's only asking for more rice, so she's gonna
He's like on the verge of being sick, like, oh, more rice.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was also going to go that way, but it's like, I like some more rice, mama. But, yeah, no, it wasn't as depressing as I made it sound, though. It was just more like, honey.
Chinese New Year, come on.
Come celebrate.
His mother never had
Chinese
time for him.
New Year's. It's a strange ad.
Poor woman. Some dragon, like, oh my god.
The thing is, I'm staying away from all, like, Mandarin's restaurants and stuff until Chinese New Year settles down. Yeah, I used to go, like, once every good while, but... Yeah. But, no, it's been too long. It's been such a long time. We got Danny Luke saying, have you guys seen Warm Bodies? Nope.
No, I hear good things.
We do talk about
Now Magazine seems to like it.
The monster in our just recent episode. We do talk about the monster trends and how since all these like all our major movie monsters being vampires, werewolves, now zombies are being interpreted for like romantic purposes. Are they no longer scary? And we talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
And even they mentioned briefly, and we're constantly going back to the storyboard. They're like, vampires aren't scary anymore. And I think it's going to take a good while before we fear vampires again. But did we ever like maybe back in the ye old movies? But, like, when you got to, like...
Nosferatu.
Well, like, you know, what was it? Interview with the Vampire was quite chilling to a degree, I think. It's got some creepy stuff, unsettling stuff that sticks with you to this very day.
It's got some really disturbing scenes that I can't get out of my head.
Yeah, and I try to...
see a certain character.
Anyway. But anyway, it's like, maybe there's got to be that downtime, and the weird thing, they're like, oh, zombies are now the big thing. I'm like, were they ever not the big thing? Zombies have been, like, applicable to every generation's fears. You know, there always been, like, our fear of, you know, running out of resources, or a fear of all being zombies to the machine,
That's
or a fear...
scary I just heard, actually.
What's happening? Damn it!
No, we were talking about it, and, there's this author, he wrote a book, I forget what it's called, it's, like, Germs, Guns, Metal, or something, and it was something Jerry was reading, and it was basically how civilization was built on, like, warfare, and germs, and money, I mean, it sounds a lot better than the way I'm saying it. But there's another book this guy wrote called Collapse, and it's about, I think, civilizations that failed. Oh. And one of the stories they were talking about, and I didn't know this, we were talking about it today at work, because we talk about cheerful things. I just found
You're at the grad studio.
Well, it was Easter Island, I think, like the island with those heads on it. That's all I know about it. But according to the research guide that did the book, it was an island that stripped itself of resources. They didn't have any shipping. They didn't have any connections. They cut down their last tree. And pretty much the island starved and like, I think went to cannibalism. And then finally, on Easter Day, when the Britons showed up in their boats, it was like, they were just like, oh my god, like, where did you find wood for these boats? It was just such a thing, because, like, the resources were gone. Yeah. Because you didn't have, they couldn't make boats.
They never, they didn't start
so they couldn't
building.
Go fishing.
That's fascinating.
And when you don't have trees, it's like, because they had these giant palm trees that take years and years and years to grow again, and they didn't plant stuff, and it was...
So that's the fear of running out of resources.
It was small, so it was like, it was kind of that on a small scale. You could watch just resources get totally depleted. in a civilization that didn't have trading partners, I guess. Like, what do you do
Yeah.
when you're done and you don't have any way of communicating with
Well,
people?
cultures have survived without trade, but it's like you gotta have your own
You gotta be
agriculture.
smart, though, about
Did they
that
have
stuff.
agriculture? Like they just made houses? They didn't actually like.
I don't know the details for sure, but it was a civilization that just ate itself. I mean, that sounds terrible, but it was a civilization that just exhausted itself and collapsed.
Oh, was the bad guy in Harry Potter 4 Doctor Who? Yes, wasn't he? David Tennant?
Wait,
He was
yeah.
the guy pretending to be Moody.
Yeah.
Alright,
Fudge,
David Tennant.
Fudge's son? Something Fudge.
That was his autobiography. Fudge's son.
Why did you do it? The book
Yes.
says it all.
The Fudge son.
That's...
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Just want to fill that out. That's fascinating, actually. I'd actually be curious about that, because the idea of, like, not, like, it's almost like, was each civilization, when they started, they all had the even ground. It's like, now y'all get grass, y'all get trees, y'all get animals, now do what you do. And this is what adds up, that I still think the Earth is a computer, like in Hitchhiker's Guide. Because there's a master program that's happening right now. This is what Hitchhiker's Guide was all about, where all these possibilities are taking place until a final answer happens.
The answer to life, the universe, and everything.
It seems more plausible as all this stuff happens. It's like you're watching the patterns of society and how it's like certain societies get to some points. And it's like, in the end, there's going to be some answer tied to it all, maybe.
42.
Oh, wait, Barty Crouch?
Barty Crouch.
Oops.
Why did I think Fudge?
Oops. No.
I like how Daniel
Crouch.
asks it as a question, but because it's like I'm like everybody else knows more than me. I'm hearing more like you don't know. Barty Crouch.
I might have wrote Crotch.
I'm sorry.
Did I do this right?
I know you're
Crouch.
not saying like that, but it's funny.
Damn, this Harry Potter is distracting.
Yeah.
Yes. Civilization. Anyway, and one day someone will type 42 into a tree and an experiment will end.
Yeah.
Or they'll say, or isn't the British Prime Minister supposed to say the game's over?
Oh, is that how it ends?
Isn't that how you end the game?
Oh, right. He's just never said that.
Maybe. That'll happen. Yeah, wait, you said it was a documentary or a book?
Oh, it was a book.
A
research book.
research
I know, you're
book.
like...
I'm like, this documentary sounds swell and riveting. You're like, it's in text form. I'm like, no!
There's a National Geographic documentary of his first book, so there might be one of the second one.
Okay.
But it's called Collapse.
Collapse. Write that
down. Alright.
The mice will emerge and tell us we were not needed anymore. Yes. Let's see. 90s nostalgia related, going back. So I got Master Cell saying, how did you like the latest season of the... You can ask us how I like anything. We don't watch anything. Ninja Turtles. The latest season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I like to watch things.
A friend of mine boards on it, but I don't know
there you go.
else.
Is this the one it's 3D, but it's cartoony?
Yeah.
And it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
And there's a scene of someone eating pizza.
Oh, cute.
And like, April O'Neil no longer looks like a 40-year-old redhead manager at like a gas station.
I know. And like, what is she wearing? Like a spacesuit?
She's like my news jumper.
I love
like,
it.
all right.
80s, they're like,
It stands
yes!
out.
They're like this. This right here.
I completely forgot from the original Ninja Turtles, she had some like nerdy little friend with like a baggy sweater.
She had her Jimmy
She's
Olsen.
like, yeah, that was her Jimmy Olsen, basically.
Yeah.
She's like, April, I'm having a party, April. Come over, April.
Who is that?
And she's like,
Is this why she goes into the sewers?
hanging out within the sewers instead, and that's how she found the turtles. I'd rather hide in the
There's only one
sewers.
way I cannot go to this party.
Yeah, she knows where I live. I have to hide. I marathon Gravity Falls last week, says Rachel. Well done. During a head cold. What do you guys think of the show? Man, you've come to the party late, because if you watched any episode of Shanahanigans Live, you know I love me some Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
So much so, I made a fully comprehensive review on it over at my YouTube channel, Shaggy Shan. Check it out. It's probably one of the more recent videos I did. It's why you should watch Gravity Falls. It's the best damn show ever. Oh my gosh. I'm not, like, God, it's too good. I love it for so many reasons. I wish there's more things like it. It's funny. I told you I was going to stop talking about it because I've talked about it way too much. I said, if you haven't watched it by now, after all my recommendations, I've got nothing for you.
There's a lot of episodes.
There's nothing here for you.
I haven't watched yet. That I'm
Oh, man. Check out my review. Just watch it and be like, he's right. Why aren't I watching it again? So many good episodes. Double Dipper, the Time Traveler's Pig, the Street Fighter one, Fighting Fighter. Like, oh my god, so many good episodes. It's so good. Many heartwarming episodes, sad episodes, curious episodes. Like lots. It's got everything running for it, and I want more. And it just makes me happy. It's my favorite show. Though I didn't watch the new Fiona and Cake, but I just rewatched the previous one again.
It's cute.
Which is charming. There's a lot of like really good animation in it. When the whole fight near the end happens, it's like almost over animated. There's like a lot of really smooth sword stuff going on and punches. It's really good. I'm meaning to watch. I still have to watch season 4 of Adventure Time, I think. I'm trying to keep track. There's so many shows and so many seasons I'm behind on. Rachel says it's so fun. There's a huge nostalgia factor and feels like the best summer ever. Yes!
It does.
The one where Mabel overdoses on candy and rides on the Rainbow Dragon.
That was like the first thing I ever saw, and you were losing your mind.
Well, because we were at a convention, and I had my computer with me, and I'm like, you guys have to see this clip from the best show ever.
I don't know what it is at all.
And it was Mabel riding the dolphin, Sashemu or whatever. And I won't spoil it here, but man, it's
so crazy.
It's basically kind of sold a bunch of people on it. Though, of course, in that episode, my favorite joke is Duchess Approves, because it's so damn funny. The old black and white old lady boring movie channel.
With Frampton.
Kids, I can't find the remote. I refuse to get up. Oh, man. Let's see. Creepy Porpoise. On a Creepy Porpoise. This is Master Stealth. Alright, she's like, the future is the past. What's another good episode? I think of Time Traveler's Pig again. I think that I'm hard pressed now. I think Time Traveler's Pig might be one of my favorite episodes.
I really like that one.
But Double Dipper is really good too. So many good ones. And then Mabel trying to be serious. Stop being silly. Anyway, enough of that. I've oversaid what I need to say. I've said everything I can say about Gravity Falls. We're down to like the last 20 minutes, if not less, depending. Creepy Porpoise has got to work on my guns. Wait. I gotta work on my guns so that I can compete. Nice.
Wait,
what?
I assume she's talking about, like, guns.
Compete with what?
Copyrighted?
What?
Some football player copyrighted.
See, that I think is a bunch of hooey. Because it's like... Alright, first thing, if you ever watched the phenomenal series, Everything is a Remix by Kirby Ferguson, the last episode is very near and dear to me because it addresses copyright and patent trolls, and I hate those bastards. Like, basically, it's these guys who just buy patents to the most vague crap. It's like a button that turns something on, and they'll have... Anytime you make something that turns on, you'll have to pay them because they have the patent to it. And it's like... I did a bunch of research at the time, and by that I mean, like, watched 2 other videos all about copyright and patenting. And it's like, the idea behind patenting was you're making a blueprint of how something's made to show that you made it. But nowadays,
if you're making an awesome hat, and I see you're making that, I can't suddenly put a patent on awesome hats. Like,
but that's basically what changed.
That's so
at the time, it was like you showed the blueprints of how it works. Like, this is how an iPad works. But now it's like they can patent concepts. Like, swiping is when you push your finger across something.
The reason you
it's
don't
like, there, swipe, it's patent.
The reason you don't see many Cintiqs and stuff like that is this is patented. Having a stylus that doesn't need a battery is
that's ludicrous.
Apple owns it. So you either have to have a big string, or you need a battery, or like
but
a
it's
charger.
Like, it defeats the whole other concept of that dual invention where, like, 2 people can come up with the same thing at the same time because there's a need for it. And if you're saying, I'm legally the only one allowed to make this thing exist, it's like, dude, like, I didn't even see your thing and I made it, but you got there first and said it's all me. And you're basically...
People patent stories?
Well, the problem is patenting and copyright, like, as good as it can be to, like, protect stuff, at the same time it kills innovation, because what this whole series, Everything is a Remix, it's so good. Write it down. Everything is a remix.
Okay,
you have to watch it. It's like everything is built upon what came before, one way or another. It's like you growing up as let's apply it to art and animation. You growing up as an artist, you're drawing Archie, you're drawing Disney, you're drawing stuff you see. I used to draw the Ninja Turtles. Didn't look like them, but that was my inspiration.
Ninja Turtles was like
it was they basically looked like snowmen, but they had different color headbands.
Number 8 for face.
There you go. And it's like, you draw what you see, and then from there you grow and make your own style. But if a patent came up saying you can't draw something with a round head and 2 dots for eyes, you're basically copyrighting and patenting something that's so natural that everyone's doing it anyway, but saying, I'm the one who did it. You saw it, I wrote it down, I did it. And you're killing innovation. It's bully tactics, and it's crippling.
But I said first.
And the thing is, it's like, patents are, like, the idea is we develop. Like, if I'm like, oh, this iPhone's nice enough, I can know how to fix it, this. And they're like, oh, you made a phone based on our phone? Well, that's copyright. And it's like, now we're knocking it down. It's like, this could have changed the future, what I was going to invent. But because copyright and patent and this and that, I can't do it. And it's like, these people are so focused on hanging on to this archaic crap that because they're making, tons of cash and we can say big money in business, blah, 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 let's put that aside. But just for whatever their motives are to keep copyright and patenting so straining, it's slowing down our progress. Yeah. Like, I feel like we should be so much further along, but because of fear and lawsuits, we're stuck in a zone where we're getting stuff in small increments because a big idea is chopped so tiny and sold to us every 3 years. Yeah. We should be a lot further. Like, we should be in Ender's Game right now. And I should be in space and be like, let's get the grubs and float around. I don't want to be in Ender's Game. But the point is, we should be floating. We should be floating, and we have the tablets. We just need the floating room.
Yeah, I would like a floating room. I just don't want to have to go to war in it. Well, if it's fake though, that freeze thing might be kind of
fun. Sorry, I didn't really read.
It's disappointing though. It's so disappointing.
Yeah. I don't know, and it's basically like you really have to watch the series. Do it with an open mind too. Like, everyone has an opinion. He has an opinion. He has a bias, of course. But I tend to agree with just about everything Kirby Ferguson addresses because I'm like, my God, this is like. Even when it comes to music, like, people get sued over things that sound similar, and there's those ideas of, like, you may have actually been influenced by something unwillingly. Like, I could write a song and be like, oh shoot, those lyrics like are very similar to something else because I did hear it before, but I wasn't like, I'm going to now write my version of friggin' Call Me Maybe, whatever. I'm not doing that, but it's influence. You're influenced by everything.
I wonder though, like, has anyone ever tried to patent, like, anytime this word is sang in a song? No, the thing is, I think with patenting, you have to.
There's patent and copyright's two different things.
With patenting, I think you have to prove that, like, it's part of your image and it's part of something you do. Like, I can't just patent, like, the word hat.
Well, like, right around the time or right after, there's certain general terms.
Because it's like that football player who, like, patented that. It's like, I guess all his shirts and stuff are like that, so it's like.
But it's like, you can't. It's so natural to our bodies that we could move around like this. Yeah, if he patented the thumbs up because he's like, someone may have already done that. I don't know. Yeah. It's weird because I think, like, patenting movement is ludicrous. Like, the idea of the patent was you as an artist, or let's go back to copyright because patent's a little different. It's about creation. Mm-hmm. You as an artist, a creator, are protected by these laws that you can make your living off of your product. And once 20 years or so, when it's played its course, it's available to the public domain to be developed and evolve into something greater in the intent to contribute to the betterment of society.
I like that the same things that let Disney take ideas is somehow they managed to, like, chomp on that.
But that's what this video is, because once the copyrights to these big studios, be it Disney or Fox, were coming closer, they bullied or forced the laws and pushed things to be like, oh, we're doing, because it's like, the idea was the patent, the copyright was meant as a good thing. It was meant to protect you as a creator against immediate theft, to make your living off of your product. But then once you're done, it goes out to the world. But these companies have lived beyond their creators and have more than made their, living, their money off of the product. Mm-hmm. And the idea is, like, you'll never see someone else's take on Harry Potter unless, Warner Bros. And Rowling, all these people approve on it. Like, Peter Pan has been remade so many times now. Alice in Wonderland has been remade so many times. And Wizard of Oz, too, or I don't know if their foundation still owns it. But, like, these non-copyright stories are being developed and changed and modified and interpreted and redone, but I can't do, like, my gritty street urban version of Harry Potter because it's like, and it is as much as a folklore tale as someone writing Alice in Wonderland, as someone writing Wizard of Oz. Like, it's a story that, if I want to make my musical version of it that has, and not say this is, a free thing, like actually make it as a product, mm-hmm. you'd have to then talk to these people who own it forever because it will never become public domain. Mm-hmm. Everything made now will never become public domain, mm-hmm. basically.
Unless it's something we make because we don't have the lawyers.
Yeah, we got nothing.
That's the thing.
I get very passionate about this because I'm always about the betterment of creativity and, like, the adding, the remixing, if you will.
Yeah.
Everything is a remix. Kirby Ferguson is a phenomenal series. It's on Vimeo. I think it's also on YouTube. He also recently had a successful Kickstarter for his new series. This is not a conspiracy theory. I haven't watched any of his stuff yet on that. It hasn't come out yet, but there's like developer diaries and things.
Cool.
Definitely worth a watch. Definitely eye-opening. Definitely depressing. And yeah, sorry, I just really went on.
Yeah, it looks like some people are talking about some really funny patents in the chat.
Yeah. Is there anything I should go back and read?
I read something where it was like some lady tried to patent the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
Some guy in Australia patented the wheel to prove it could be done.
Rumble, skirmish, fireball, uppercut, downcut, bowl of punch. Sorry, I went back a little.
Sounds delicious.
It was a great episode. Stop from marking everything. They can even stop you from making something for free because they'll claim it cost them sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boss at Work said he got angry and broke one open once, and there's batteries inside your tablet pen, apparently. Yeah? Eternal batteries.
Maybe
like watch batteries.
Those exist, but you can't buy them.
Yeah.
Just 5 billion batteries.
So it's going back in Australia.
Fridges used to last for 25 years, and now you buy one that only lasts for like the fridge our parents had was like we had that working well for 20 years, and then they bought a new one. These things only last 2 to 5 years because they make them easy to break.
Yeah, they'll do that. Dan Luke says, reminds me of a Futurama episode. Mom, Love, and Screen Door are trademark of Mom Corp.
Yes. So funny.
Pretty much. There's a book called The Quillian Games about the company that ended up owning the entire planet by taking over the market product by product. That's interesting, actually. Write that down, The Quillian Games. And Katie squints while Shaggy just rambles. Interesting. Sorry, I get passionate about this. I love creativity. I love the betterments of creativity, and it's just like, you know.
Well, I mean, I'm like, why are we not Star Trek yet? Why don't we have Federation doing stuff? Why does crappy stuff still happen? Like, it's
yeah, I blame patents.
So annoying. I just blame pettiness and not wanting to move things forward. Because I mean, dude, money, you can't take it with you when you die. So why not help push the world forward a little bit more in a better direction?
Was that Freakonomics, I think, at the very beginning? I think this was the beginning of that documentary, Freakonomics, which I actually... There's two things. There's two parts of it. There's one thing I didn't like where it was just like they had like a poor kid and then rich people eating shrimp, and I'm just like, alright, you're pushing it. It was like, nah. I'm like, alright, this isn't made for grade 2.
Throwing shells at him.
But then there was a quote from a guy who's saying like he played Monopoly with his grandma. Like he's playing the game. And he never won, like all these years. He couldn't win. He's a kid. She knows the market better. The Monopoly market. Complete segue. They're introducing a cat figure to the Monopoly set soon. Official cat. Screw you, dog.
Like Monopoly sales are dropping. What can
it's
we
now
do?
Meow-nopoly. Okay, so they have the kids play Monopoly, and finally, after all these years, he beats Grandma. Like not like that, but he's like, yes, I beat Grandma.
And she dies.
And he got the bank. Got all the houses, and he's like, yes! Do his little victory dance, yes! And then Grandma's like, well done. And then what she does is she basically says, and now it all goes back in the box. That's it. You don't keep it. You don't bring it with you. The game is over. Yeah. It all goes back in the box.
Yeah, the game is over. So
and I was like,
game worth it. That's good. So des.
Yes, so des.
Wise Grandma.
But yeah, no, she was.
I wonder if she started that game like, oh, I'm gonna drop a truth bomb on this little brat.
And now she's like, now we're playing hippos, bitch. And she like takes all the marbles and he's like, again. You have a lesson of this, Grandma. She's a fun grandma. But 2 years until we get one, says Dan Luke. That might be referring to hoverboards. Back to the Future hoverboards.
Yeah, I think Daniel Luke mentioned briefly about a cheaper alternative to the Wacom Cintiqs.
Oh, yeah.
I'd heard reviews. I haven't checked it out myself, but I know they are making an alternative that is way cheaper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're interested in getting a Cintiq and you don't want to drop...
a shoe ton?
like $2,500 on like one of these bad boys.
Yeah.
Like,
go for it, unless Wacom's like,
I don't know what it's called though, but if you write alternative to Cintiq,
drawing on a screen.
It's a different kind of battery, so that keeps it. But I mean, man, I am.
Yeah, that does push innovation. Working inside the box.
Like they have those pens that you can draw on like the iPad. And stuff, but those suck.
What was that thing where
they're like nubs?
There was a pencil you can actually draw on paper, and it transfers the data to your computer.
People were talking about that, but I don't think it's there yet.
Does it remember where your last stroke was, and you're just like...
It's like maybe if you're drawing with like a Sharpie, And the Sharpie is like your pencil point is here and the Sharpie's here, and you're like, there.
Well, they're also like, you just can't take it off the paper, or else it loses complete track of where you were last. You're like, this is stupid. Because it's basically a scroll wall.
You're drawing this whole comic like, you just trip.
It's like the Magna Doodle of like comics or something. It's just like, or is it Etch-a-Sketch? Probably Etch-a-Sketch. Yeah. I saw a thing on the news years ago that stuck with me to this day, where a guy like does Etch-a-Sketch portraits, and then he like takes the sand out so you can't erase them or something like that.
Oh, I thought he was gonna shake it and be like, and in the end we're all dust.
And he says, I'm hanging out with that grandma, so talk science for an evening.
I like her philosophies.
Yeah. Dust in the wind. I'm like, I hate you, Grandpa. This whole family's full of metaphors.
I'm trying to distract myself.
My family's so wise. I hate them all. Oh dear. We're basically in the last 5 or so minutes, unless anyone's got something to say.
I'll post a link to that Wacom thing, actually.
Yeah.
Why do we have show notes if not? This is an educational show.
Yeah, this is an education. I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you learned something about yourselves.
Yeah.
So I
we
suggest...
hold up the dark mirror to reality.
Yeah. I suggest you go, write some sexy time books. Who knows? You might catch on. Because it's all about like...
I might catch something.
It's all about like these... Because everyone is always like, oh, it's all about the deep, dark passions, and everyone actually has them but doesn't admit it. And that actually was a big deal with why e-readers are selling now. Because like, I want anyone to know I have this.
Did you see the covers of those books?
Yeah. There's a chest piece and a tie. No! Don't want people to know that's what I'm reading.
You don't have to rip the book out and put something else there. Like,
I thought they sold those actually, like other jackets, which is like Peter Pan, and you're like, smut!
No, don't ever do that because you accidentally leave it on a bus and some kid's like,
yeah.
Peter Pan is my favorite.
Yes, Neverland is quite curious.
Oh dear.
I'm trying to think of
British child, no.
Don't read that book. I want to say like, what's a blank? But I don't want to say what the blank is on this show.
Yeah, because we are an education.
We're a family show.
We're not that kind of education.
Yes, we're a family show. Yeah, so it's like 9:55 where we are. I don't know what it is where you guys are, but I hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Show. Any upcoming events? T-Fest, we didn't go.
Like I said, it was great. I know. I ended up freaking out over a deadline right before, and I was like, yank. Because it was like I was going to go and I was going to meet them, and they were like, it's actually really tiny, and we've already seen everything.
Yeah, it was
so
actually...
if you show up, we're probably going to leave.
It was actually the upstairs of TCAF.
Yeah,
the upstairs
I was
section.
going to come for an hour. Like, I was going to show up at 4, but Heather and the group had already been there for, like...
Yeah.
An hour. They were like,
we've
seen everything.
Yeah. Just ditched them all there. I'm like, lighthouse. Gotta buy a thing for a thing. Pretty much. Sheridan submission deadline, nervous laughter, says Rachel
Sheridan
Paulson.
submission deadlines.
It's 7 p.m. where you are. Sheridan. It's almost 10 here. Where are you?
We're in Toronto. What's up?
Alright, so wait, if you get in Sheridan, that means you're coming to like Ontario then, wherever you are.
Well,
That'd
I don't
be a
think
time.
you can long distance.
Yeah, you can't really bus in every morning.
I knew a guy though who bussed in from Toronto every day, and I was like, "That's crazy." And
really?
Like, you end up being in reverse for work.
Oh.
It's like he was always the first one in too.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Hey, we're gonna be going to your state because we got our Comic-Con tickets. Dun 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 dun.
We weren't sure if we were gonna do it for sure, and the complimentary pro badge.
Yeah, we screwed that up.
Was gone.
We didn't get the free bus.
And I was like, I don't know, should we do it? But then you got one for your girlfriend, and I was like, screw it, let's go. So I bought myself an extra badge.
And we're going to Disney.
We're gonna totally go to Disney.
Disneyland.
You know what I want to do this year?
What?
I want to do SeaWorld as well. Unless there's some weirdness.
SeaWorld? I don't even know animal abuse in my holiday.
Is it bad?
Yeah, that's where they like punch whales and stuff.
It is?
Yeah, I don't want to go there. Or wait, no, is that Marineland?
Yeah, I think Marineland's
No, that's only in Canada. So come to Ontario, Marineland. They abuse all their animals. It's a treat. And there's goats there too. But definitely, I think we're going to Cars Land or something if we go to friggin'...
Yeah, you know what? If we go, we're going to do the 2-day pass.
Gator Springs or whatever it's called. Gator Spring? Radiator? There you go. Radiator Springs!
We'll hang out there.
We're going to have cars all the time.
Is that like Pixar Land now? I guess?
It is pretty much. California Adventures is basically like Pixar Land. It may as well be San Francisco Pixar Studio Adventures.
I want to do Disney for like 3 days just so we can
kidding me? Really?
Do one side, do the other side, and then just go nuts.
Where are we staying when we do this?
Who here lives in?
Yeah, does anyone live by Disney? Want to like hang out? And by hang out, I mean let us sleep in your house.
Yeah.
Make sure you bring lots of water to Disney. Go to an aquarium or something. Yeah, there's that.
Drink from the fish.
Flexbox has 3 portfolios due next week. Puts on the game face.
Whoa!
When is the
Hey,
Comic Con?
lots of
The
portfolios.
Comic Con is in July.
July.
Yes, mid-July.
3rd.
No,
Oh, I have
the
the thing right
13th,
here.
isn't it? Isn't it like a team day?
Dear Comic Con.
July
17th.
17th.
Is the Wednesday.
Aha! Preview night.
Day.
Excellent.
Yeah, because we go down. We're there for 5 days.
Yeah.
We're there.
We arrive.
We're there Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, man.
Friday,
We're there every day for
Saturday.
Comic Con. It's a treat.
I find that best because I want to take a look at everything on the Wednesday, which is like the pro night. So it's still packed too when it's
Yeah,
just, when
it's
it's
as
just
busy as any other night.
professionals.
That's why I want exhibitor badges so I can get 2 hours early and pretend I'm setting up a
Exhibitor
table.
badges are awesome.
Here's the thing.
Best
If
part
you
of
want to go to
convention-
Comic Con, get an exhibitor
yeah,
badge.
if you show up 2 hours before opening and you run around, it's beautiful. You
Yeah.
get to see everything.
There's space.
Yeah,
you
you
get to
can
walk
chat
with
with
your
people.
arms out
I mean,
and be like,
everybody's
ah.
setting up sites, so
Yeah.
people are a bit busy, but it's beautiful. It's so cold.
Yeah.
Because there's no bodies.
There's not enough
It's like,
sweaty people.
Yeah. You
filling
can
up
scope
the
out what you
space.
want, and then I've made some quick under the table sales like right before thing. Like I want that over here, and you're like.
Master Stealth is saying Orlando. No, Disneyland.
No.
They're saying if you have a free day, I would totally drive up to say hi. But we're not going to Disneyland World.
Baby porpoise
We might do
on the
that
West
next
Coast.
year.
Baby porpoise, come to Disney.
Yeah, Comic
That's how we got
Con's
to know Jean.
Yeah.
Like I only knew Jean from the internet.
Oh, really?
They're like, we're going to Disney, and she's like, I can meet you guys. I'm like, come hang out.
Oh,
and we
shoot.
met her in line at the Haunted Mansion. Now we're all like best
Oh,
buds.
I didn't know that's where it started. We should
Yeah.
go have her come back to
I hadn't met her
Disneyland.
before that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're near
And she very
Disneyland.
sweetly offered to drive us into Kazu's
Alejandro.
studio because we were so lost.
Yeah, we were
that
awful.
trip was amazing. So if you guys know Kazu and Amy Kiwishi, Kazu is.
If you know Bolt Studios.
If you know Bolt Studios, those fine folks there, they are lovely.
Yes.
For so many reasons, but also because I think it was the day before, the day after Comic Con, we went to go have breakfast with them, and we're like, yeah, we're going to LA, it's gonna be great. They're like, oh, where are you staying? We're like, we don't know. How are you getting there? Just gonna take the bus and get off, and maybe we'll trust LA's transit. And they're like,
These
tell
poor
us when you get in, we'll pick you up, you can stay with us. Okay.
These poor Canadians.
Even going to Disney World, it's like, how are you getting to Disney World? Jean's wonderful. Like, how are we going to Disney World? Jean's like, oh, so we're at Disney World. How are we getting to Alhambra? It doesn't look that far in Google Maps. It's like an hour drive.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jean, will you drive us?
Oh my god, we're awful.
We're terrible. I don't know how we would have gotten there.
We'll
Taxi?
plan better next
Like,
time.
what the heck were we thinking? we showed up in LA and it's just the world took care of us. Beautiful cartoonists took care of us.
Creepy Porpoise is gonna be in Toronto in July. Aren't we like
What
leaving
are you
right there?
doing?
What's happening in Toronto? Is there like a July thing?
I'll be
Like July Fest?
packed.
What's going on in Toronto in July?
Summer. Rachel asks if you've been to Disneyland before. Yes. We've gone every year we go to Comic-Con.
It's packed, but like we get the fast passes and we just wander around.
We get
What-
the fast passes and then we do it wrong.
Yes.
Because it's like, you know, they have the thing with the park where you're supposed to go to like the big rides first as soon as
Yeah.
you get in.
You're supposed
get
to
the
run
fast
around and
passes.
get all your fast
When we
passes
go to like
first.
Fantasyland.
We
we're
run
like,
straight for the
teacups!
teacups. That's the first thing we do. We're like, oh my god, Matterhorn!
The teacups is so iconic to me. The music and the buildings. And we went and bought hats.
Yeah, we all bought hats.
It was so good. We're gonna have such a good time.
Yeah, no. So if you're in the area, the week after Comic Con, if you're in California way, come to Disneyland and there'll be a party, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not the one to be like, follow me, everyone. It's gonna be fun. I'm just like, oh, you're here now. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, and if you show up,
Good to know we're all in the same place.
Like that, I might be like, oh hey.
We might just be like exhausted and be like, I hate fun. Speaking of hating fun, I hate to end this fun, but it's 10 o'clock here.
Nice.
We gotta wrap things up. Once again, of course, the book is To the Kingdom.
It is.
It's still available digitally online. No more physical copies, unfortunately.
It is, yeah.
Maybe fixing that in the near future.
Yeah.
You know, say if we're printing other things, we might have to print some of that too. It's gonna be good times. No upcoming events for the moment. Sounds like.
I don't think so. Let me take a quick look at my map.
Right Night, of course, every Monday in Toronto. If you want to meet just to talk to people from all different walks of writing, it's a good excuse. Also, it's a really cool venue, the CSI Annex. It's really neat. It's just this big space with lots of couches. Beyond that, nothing really new for me. I'm just writing.
There's...
Though I did edit a bit of Twilight the other night.
Yes, you did. I was going to say if you're in Toronto, this Tuesday and I think every other Tuesday, there's tunes on tap at the Rhino Bar.
Okay.
And it's they bring in models, and it's a fully open pub, and they have a sketch table set up, and you can sketch and drink. And I think you have to be 19 to get in, but it's guaranteed a good time with drawing models. I think last theme was She-Ra. This one is like retro pinups.
Okay.
So should be fun. I wanna definitely check that out. That should be it for now. I don't know for sure. On the 23rd, I mean, I'll talk to you guys closer to the date, but I think I'm going to be part of an Ask the Artist live event chat mixer on DeviantArt.
Oh, DeviantArt.
Yeah, it's going to be like this giant chat. It's going to be like Hamlet Machine and like Loish and a whole bunch of big DeviantArt folk. And then me who never updates, like, hello.
Hi.
I used to make Harry Potter comics.
Orange Fruit is saying, Katie, how did you pay for college? Do we have time for that answer?
I took out OSAP, and then animation job paid it all back within a year or so. I moved to a town where stuff was cheaper.
Oh yeah.
And then when I came back, I moved into my folks' place for like 4 months, and all my money I made just went to my student loans.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the short answer.
But I mean, if you're living, it depends. I was actually, if you check out my Ask the Artist interview, I posted it on my blog, katieshy.com as well, a link to the transcript. But I talk about that too. It really depends on your financial situation, because for me, I could just go stay at my folks' place for a bit, and so we had that safety net. But I mean, if you're living on your own or can't really rely on people to pay your rent and buy you food, you might want to be a bit safer with that. But just try and make it your priority and pay it down as much as you can, because I don't know, I find the interest you end up paying on it ends up being more than stuff you put aside for savings. So I don't know, just try and pay it down as quick as you can.
All these other questions coming. Questions for the middle of the show, not the end. We're going.
Did you read Starfighter?
It's been 2 hours. It's been 2 hours. What?
Talk about sexy times.
Oh, is that what that is? Is it more sexy times? No more time for sexy times. Everyone go to bed. Wash your brain out with soap. And we'll see you guys next time. Right?
Oh, I'm in charge of this.
Yeah. I'll try to read more Gen 13 or something. I'll give you my review on
also,
Volume 2.
Pink hair.
See you guys. Boom.
Where did my pink hair go?
Pink hair.
Okay.